Good morning. Start your day informed and ahead. Today is Tuesday, the 25th of the month. I'm Angela Lagusad Castro.
And I'm Cheska Lituncala. We are bringing you the perfect mix of the headlines you need and the conversations that shape your day.
From the news desk to the digital space, we have got you covered. I'm Pauline Berzosa, and welcome to Morning Matters.
Now, first in the news, Pagong, Pusa, and Belat. More unusual names have surfaced in receipts linked to the OVP's confidential funds. Former disbursing officer Gina Acosta admitted she could not personally confirm whether the listed recipients actually received the cash, saying she relied on former OVP security officer Raymond La Chica. Acosta also said she handed La Chica some 500 billion pesos in confidential funds from 2022 to 2023, even though he was not the bonded accountable officer. Prosecutors also flagged the lack of receipts showing that Chica received the money, calling the setup a possible modus operandi. Acosta's testimony also came under fire from what some senator judges described as repeated template answers and her apparent selective recall during questioning.
So if you're a normal or average person, papalag ka na naman. Teka muna, Kernel, bakit ganito? Bastusan na to, lokohan to.
Pinireply ko po yon si Colonel La Chica, Your Honor. At ang sagot naman niya sa akin, Ma'am Gina, those are sensitive information, Ma'am Gina. At saka, in nature po yon.
Naging stupido kayo sa ngalan ng isang tinatawag na blind loyalty. Nakapikit kung ano yung sinasabi sa iyo ng nakakataas, sinusunod mo na lang. Stupido ka pa rin, pero in the name of blind loyalty. Would you agree?
Dili ko maintindihan, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
Right, so it is indeed day 17 of the impeachment trial, still on the presentation of the Article 1, which is the alleged misuse of confidential funds. But yesterday was quite interesting, if you will agree with me,
Yes,
in terms
names.
of just when you thought you have seen and heard enough, meron pa pala, wait, there's more. There's Pusa, there's Pagong, there's Belat, diba? And then, akala ko nga nung una, Belat siya, it's Belat pala. Parang it's a Bisaya term for, alam ng mga Bisaya what I'm trying to say here.
What? I don't think she's allowed to say it on air.
Yes.
Okay, sige.
Pero yon. So, yon, no, akala natin na ang dami pa palang mga aliases or code names na kahapon din
Na walang record.
Na walang record. And of course, isa pang interesting yun is Senator Lito Lapid broke his silence.
The first appearance at the podium.
And he made sense,
Yes.
di ba? Kumbaga parang, di ba tinatawag nga siya Committee on Silence, pero kahapon kasi he questioned Gina Acosta on the existence of OVP funds na may resemblance kasi yung pangalan niya, Lapid.
Ginamit yung Lapid.
Ginamit. And then we also found out when is the exact birthday of Riz Ontiveros, which is February 24, kasi kapangalan din dun sa ilang mga pangalan sa aliases nga din na pinagbigyan apparently nitong mga confidential funds. But kidding aside, we've seen senators interjected a lot of questions, made sense also dahil nga sinasabi nila na parang templated yung answer, diba na parang paulit-ulit lang siya. And at some point in the presser of spokesperson of the impeachment court, Attorney Reggie Tongol, he said, I don't know what was the question, but he is not pertaining naman daw to a certain witness, but he is saying that, sabi niya, minor inconsistencies in the testimony actually strengthen the credibility of the testimony. And apparently, there is sabi niya, kasi parang alam mong hindi rehearsed eh. Diba? It gives you that notion na, hindi to rehearse. Alam mong tama yung sinasabi niya. May minor inconsistency lang, pero alam mo tama. Parang ganun yung sinasabi niya. And apparently, there's a ruling pala in the Supreme Court noong September 1999 saying that the case of People versus Salimbago, that the trivial inconsistencies strengthen rather than diminish the prosecution's case. Because as they erase suspicion of a rehearsed testimony and negate any suspicion na the same were merely perjured. Yun ang sinasabi nila.
Well, the 2 days that we saw Gina Acosta on the stand can be summarized with she relied on the chica because he was the expert on the ground and the vice president trusted him and designated him. Because that was what we heard over and over and over again.
Now, that's a question also. Will the prosecution be calling on Colonel La Chica? Because he's been mentioned multiple times already. Even Presiding Officer Cheese Escudero asked the prosecution, do you have any plans of presenting La Chica? But they said they will cross the bridge when they get there. They don't want to telegraph their punches, their strategy, and also we'll just have to wait for now. But what really stood out for me yesterday, was the interjection of Senator Risa Ontiveros. Kasi parang she was already appealing to the senses of Gina Acosta.
Dalawang kawawa.
Are you aware?
You will be
Diba?
taking the blame for the
Yes.
decision of someone else. And sinabi din ni Atty. Ligutan, di ba? Pwede ka po makulong. So, yung sabi nga ni Senator Raffy Tulfo, di ba? Stupidly...
You are stupid in the name of blind
loyalty.
Something like
Hanggang
that.
saan ba yung loyalty mo? Are you willing to take the fall for someone else's decision?
Which is apparently parang ganun na nga.
Parang ganun na nga.
Oo.
Later, we will break that down more with our guest. We will be speaking to Attorney Howard Calleja later on in the show. But meanwhile, Senator Loren Legarda has extended her medical leave, according to Senate Secretary Renato Bantug Jr. Bantug said Legarda informed the Senate that her additional leave covers August 24 to 26 and September 1 to 2. Legarda and her son, Batangas 1st District Representative Leandro Leviste, are being investigated over alleged graft and plunder in supposed ghost solar projects worth 10 billion pesos. Now, Legarda has denied the allegations, calling them utterly false and baseless. So, of course, the timing of the continued absence of Senator Loren Legarda is something we should watch out for, right? Because this is already her 4th extension for her medical leave. It started on August 3, and by September 2, 1 month na siyang wala sa Senate, right? And the ombudsman already said, parang suspicious kasi nga she's facing possible investigation on the solar projects. And then there's also, of course, the impeachment trial. So, mapapatanong ka talaga, bakit extend ng extend? Uuwi ka pa ba, Senadora?
Totoo. Tsaka ang tanong mo dyan, what is she sick of?
Oo, hindi
Diba?
rin niya dinisclose.
Hindi na dinidisclose yun anong problema. Diba? Bakit medical leave yung sinasabi? And she was last seen on July 29. Mapapaisip ka talaga, nung remember, we had former Secretary Ronald Llamas here. And he said na, di na babalik yan. So parang, tama ba siya? Sabi niya may mga kapustahan daw siya. Magkano yung money mo dito?
Parang hirap kasi.
Pero kidding aside, di ba? Parang, how can she participate in impeachment trial?
Yes.
Di ba?
It's
Importante
been a month.
yun, di ba? Oo.
She missed on a lot of
A lot.
Yes.
And ang hirap naman to catch up online also. But on the other side, Senator Ping Lacson said a few days ago that she actually called him while she was out of the country and told him na may problem daw sa lungs that needed medical treatment.
Okay.
So
That cannot be treated here in the Philippines. Wala, I'm just asking
France.
questions.
sa Europe talaga.
So it has, I don't know. I mean, we know she left for France via Hong Kong, diba? So
But Senator Lacson also said he called it fake news reports
Asylum.
that she is seeking political asylum in Europe. Pero you can't help people who would wonder or assume na ganun, di ba? Kasi nga si Zaldico, yun ang ginagawa
Yes.
ngayon sa Europe
sa France.
Sa France din, exactly.
Baka
So,
daw nagkakape, sabi ni Sec Ronald.
All right. Meanwhile, the government has released 1 billion pesos to the University of the Philippines for Project NOAA. The funding will support AI-powered flood forecasting, real-time hazard monitoring, and other disaster preparedness tools. The DBM says the goal is to help government act earlier, prepare communities better, and prevent disasters from turning into catastrophes. Most of the fund, 935 million pesos, will go to research services and the equipment needed to strengthen hazard assessment and forecasting. So, Project NOAA was launched in 2012 after Typhoon Sendong hit the Philippines in 2011. This was under President Noynoy's
Yes.
administration. It was defunded in 2017. It used to be handled by DOST, and then it was taken over by UP. They launched the NOAA Center and then the UP Resilience Institute. This was in June 2017. So this infusion of the budget is actually under UP's appropriation in the national budget also. But this is a welcome development.
Yep.
Because this is actually a preventive measure as compared to a reactive measure. So, because we remember when, I still remember when they lost the funding. People reacted. People were angry. People were like, what are
Why?
we supposed... Oh, why? Because before the flood control scandal, there was Project Noah, and it was useful.
Yes. So imagine what this 1 billion pesos could do for Project Noah, right? If you inject more funds, then they will be able to do more research. They will be able to provide LGUs with critical data that will save lives, because they will alert all these communities, diba, even before the disaster comes, na nako, mag-ingat na po kayo, tataas na po yung tubig dyan. So sobrang critical nitong Project Noah, because nga, we are shifting from disaster response to disaster prevention.
Yun. And tsaka maigi din that we have this tool at dapat magamit ito ng maayos, 'di ba? Kasi we can use this tool, nga sabi nga ni Executive Director ng Project Noah, Mahar Dagmay, na we can do yung avoidance first. 'Di ba? We have this tool, we can have this, it can guide us dun sa mga proper relocation and etc. Kasi there are still infrastructure built in dangerous areas na dapat talaga tanggalin na. So if same goes with flood control projects, if we build enough flood control projects, we should be able to build the right projects and build it in the right places.
Yes.
Yun ang importante.
All right, don't go away. Morning Matters will be back after a short break.
Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. Pag-asa continues to monitor several weather disturbances outside the Philippine area of responsibility. Typhoon Sodel, locally named Obet, has quickly exited the Philippine area of responsibility but will continue to enhance the southwest monsoon or habagat. Meanwhile, Atsani has weakened from a tropical storm into a tropical depression, while tropical depression Gainari, formerly Neneng, has further weakened into a low-pressure area. Pag-asa says neither Atsani nor the low-pressure area is expected to directly affect the country. Now, the southwest monsoon will bring cloudy skies, scattered rains, and thunderstorms over Metro Manila, Ilocos Region, Cordillera Administrative Region, Cagayan Valley, Central Luzon, Cavite, Batangas, and Rizal. A Vice President Sara Duterte's lawyer, Attorney Paulo Panelo, said the second perjury complaint against Ramil Madriaga is intended to challenge what he described as false and improbable claims in Madriaga's supplemental affidavit. In an interview with One News's Political Beat, Panelo said the new details provided by Madriaga allowed their camp to verify his claims, particularly his account of alleged deliveries of confidential funds, which Panelo said contained inconsistencies. Panelo also believes the prosecution itself may have doubts about Madriaga's credibility, noting that prosecutors have yet to decide whether to present him as a witness in the impeachment trial. And for Panelo, the prosecution's hesitation is significant.
tingin ko, ang speculation ko dyan is even the prosecution is convinced that Madriaga is not credible. And that's why you get statements from the prosecution team na sinusukat pa daw nila kung i-represent nila. Matatandaan natin nung prinesenta yan sa House Justice Committee, he was dubbed as the missing link, the star witness of the prosecution. Ito na yung magpapatunay na winaldas talaga yung pera ng confidential funds. Pero here you have the prosecution, yun nga, parang medyo nagda-damage control sila. Sinasabi nila, baka hindi na kailangan kasi sapat na yung iprepresenta namin. But to me, that's very telling na itong tao na binild up nyo, na malapit kay VP, nagdala ng milyong-milyong pera para sa kanya, di umano, biglang hindi nyo iprepresenta. Kasi kami, and hopefully anyone who's read the two complaints should by now be convinced na wala talagang katotohanan yung sinasabi niya. Beyond yung taga-suporta siya ni VP sa campaign na napakarami namang taong ganon noong 2022, wala talagang katotohanan yung mga sinasabi niya.
Lawmakers are putting the government's spending plans under the microscope as budget hearings continue. And for the latest, we now have mobile journalist Amy Atienza. Amy, what are the key issues raised so far in next year's budget?
Yes, Pauline, tuloy-tuloy ang House Committee on Appropriations para nga talakayin yung budget for 2027. And just yesterday, we have heard the budget deliberations for the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation wherein nakita nga natin na itong projected income ng PAGCOR for 2027 was decreased by over 17 billion pesos compared doon sa projected income nila or sa income na natanggap talaga nila noong 2025. Ngayon kasing 2027, inaasahan nila na 88.33 billion pesos yung makukuha mismo ng PAGCOR for their operation, pati na rin sa atin, Pauline, at nabanggit din naman kahapon sa budget deliberations na reasons for this decrease nga daw ay yung Middle East crisis kung saan sinasabi na naka-apekto daw ito sa consumers, and the next is also the linking of the online games to e-wallet payments. So ito yung naging at malaki nga daw yung naging decline dito ng users and consumers pagdating sa online gaming, wherein 40% ang naging decline doon sa mga gumagamit ng online gaming applications. Bukod pa dyan, Pauline, na banggit din sa budget deliberations na merong retroactive payment na obligated na bayaran ang PAGCOR sa Philippine Sports Commission na accounting to 37 billion pesos, kung saan nga sinasabi na ito daw yung mga sports development programs na kinakailangan i-remit mismo ng PAGCOR based doon sa kinita nila sa mga nagdaang taon. So inaasahan nga din natin, Pauline, na sa mga susunod na taon ay mababayaran daw ito ng PAGCOR, and ang estimated ay nasa around 300 million pesos per year for 10 years yung magiging payment. So bukod pa dyan, napakinggan din natin kahapon yung naging talakayan kasama Department of Trade and Industry, kung saan sinabi din mismo ng ahensya na itong plano nila for 2027 ay mas mabigyan pa daw ng pansin yung micro, small, and medium enterprises para nga sa susunod na taon, and they're asking for an additional 5 billion pesos kasi sa ngayon nasa 9.4 billion pesos pa lang yung budget na ibinibigay para nga sa DTI. Pero titingnan pa rin natin yung magiging developments dyan pagdating nga ng amendments and review committee ng House Committee on Appropriations. So ngayon naman, inaasahan natin na later on ay matatalakay naman ng komite yung budget kasama ang Department of National Defense, Office of the Ombudsman, pati na rin Commission on Audit. Pauline?
All right, thank you very much for that report. That was mobile journalist Amy Atienza. Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial enters day 18 today, with the prosecution shifting to its next witness in the confidential funds case. And for the latest, we now have mobile journalist Fatima Baduria. Fatima, what can we expect from today's proceedings?
Good morning, Pauline. It's day 18 of the impeachment trial, and the presiding officer, Cheese Escudero, is set to make a decision today on the sub judice rule, or the restriction of those involved in the trial to make public statements or comments regarding the merits of the case. This is after counsel for the prosecution, Attorney Amando Virgiligutan, last week posted on Facebook saying that it is a principle all lawyers and all law students know by heart that misleading questions are not allowed even on cross-examination. This was after heated exchange between counsel for the prosecution, Lorna Capunan, and counsel for the respondent, Christine Ferrer, wherein Capunan was saying that the defense cannot ask a witness to answer only in yes or no. And then she mentioned that misleading questions are not allowed on a cross-examination. After that, Ferrer was heard saying that it is allowed. But later on, lead counsel for the respondent, Sheila Sison, clarified that Ferrer was misunderstood, no, dahil nga medyo mabilis din yung palitan, and that statement was not regarding Kapunan's comment about misleading questions. And earlier or previously naman, impeachment court spokesperson Reginald Tonggol has already explained what happens when the sub judice rule is violated, no, or what may happen, kasi pwede yan na mapagsabihan lang sila, pwedeng warning or pwedeng admonition, no, for both parties. Pero ang mabigat na dyan is that they can be cited in contempt at may iba't ibang penalty. Depende sa mapagdidesisyonan ng korte, although nilinaw din naman itong goal na pwede nga yang madaan sa usapan lang. No? At isa pa, doon sa inaabangan natin is whether the suggestion of presiding officer Cheese Escudero for them to choose a different spokesperson na hindi involved sa trial will remain a recommendation or a requirement this time. Kasi yesterday sa press conference ng prosecution, we heard from House Prosecutors Joel Chua and the legal spokesperson for the prosecution, Benjamin Tolosa, na kapag nangyari yan ay malilimitahan yung both parties from choosing, no? And that they're asking for flexibility on the kind of statements that they can say in public, dahil ang goal naman nila dito is to fight or go against fake news that is happening on social media. And later on, during the trial, we can hear then yung explanation ni Ligutan regarding the matter and yung response niya sa manifestation ni Sison. Pauline.
Thank you very much for those updates. Was mobile journalist Fatima Baduria. And now in sports, Junmar Fajardo could be playing his final games for Gilas Pilipinas. The 36-year-old is considering national team retirement after this FIBA window. Even as Coach Tim Cone says, he can still make an impact. Mobile journalist Denise Valdez-Sancho has this report.
Junmar Fajardo could be playing his final games for Gilas Pilipinas. The 36-year-old veteran confirmed he is considering retiring from the national team after this August window of the FIBA World Cup Asian qualifiers, a decision that could end his 13-year Gilas career.
Nung nabali yung tibia ko, naputol yung tibia ko, naisip ko nga na di na ako makakabalik sa basketball eh. Ayan, nabigyan ako ng second chance. So, sobrang blessed ko na mapasali ulit sa national team.
Fajardo had previously told the team he wanted to retire, but Coach Tim Cone persuaded him to stay, believing the five-time PBA MVP can still make an impact against the Middle Eastern teams.
But I was thinking at the same time, he ain't retiring. I'm not going to let him retire. We feel Junmar can make a bigger impact on teams like this.
Fajardo will now suit up for what could be his final FIBA window with Gilas, and he won't be alone in the front court. Kai Soto is back with the national team, giving Gilas much-needed size, especially with Justin Brownlee ruled out of the window.
Nasakto lang din na full healthy na ako dahil kaya naman din ako hindi napaglaro nung previous years kasi na-injured ako.
With Brownlee out, the coaching staff is turning to the rest of the roster to fill the void, not by replacing one player, but by asking everyone to step up. That includes new addition Justin Arana, who is eager to make the most of his chance with Gilas.
Yeah, this is big for me, syempre. This is once in a lifetime opportunity for me. So, yeah, lagi ko lang, my mindset is always ready lang.
Gilas must be ready for 2 crucial games ahead, facing Jordan this Friday, August 28, before taking on Iran on August 30, both at the Mall of Asia Arena. Mobile journalist Denise Valdesancho. We are One News.
Now don't go away because Money Talks with Kathy Yang is up next to get you ahead of the markets. I'm Pauline Verzosa. Stay tuned to One News.
Welcome to Money Talks. I'm Kathy Yang, your intel on the Philippine markets and the economy. In the headlines, the Bangko Sentral says it will continue to work to get inflation back to target as it welcomes Moody's affirmation of the country's investment-grade credit rating. Will this improve European investment in the Philippines? A conversation with EU-ASEAN Business Council Executive Director Chris Humphrey. The Energy Department says 7.5 billion pesos is needed to curb non-technical system losses in electric cooperatives. And the Budget Department says delayed allotment releases slows the implementation of infrastructure projects. Sentral ng Pilipinas has welcomed Moody's decision to keep the Philippines Baa2 investment-grade credit rating with a stable outlook. The BSP said the affirmation recognizes the economy's ability to withstand global headwinds. It added it will continue working to bring inflation closer to target, safeguard the banking system, maintain a safe and efficient payment system, and prudently manage the country's international reserves. Moody's said the stable outlook reflects expectations that the Philippines' fiscal position will stabilize over the next 2 years. The debt watcher cited a gradual economic recovery and the government's continued fiscal consolidation efforts. It also said the country's access to local and global financing, along with ample international reserves, should help cushion volatility in global capital flows. The Philippines has held a Baa2 rating with a stable outlook from Moody's since December 2014. Finance Secretary Frederick Go also affirmed the explanation. He touted the government's reforms are working, even as the world faces, quote, real headwinds. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas says early preparations for the possible Godzilla El Nino could help keep food supplies stable and limit inflation pressures. BSP Deputy Governor Zino Abinoja said the government is already preparing to protect agricultural production. These includes adjusting planting calendars, supporting irrigation, and using drought-tolerant crops. Pagasa earlier warned that El Nino could strengthen to very strong levels from October through January, raising the risk of agricultural losses and higher food prices. The BSP is also watching these risks as it reviews its inflation outlook. Its current forecast puts full-year inflation at 6.4%. Meantime, 19 of the 24 analysts polled by Business World expect another 25 basis point rate hike this week. The Monetary Board will hold its fourth policy meeting on August 27. The Philippines needs to diversify its economy and strengthen its productive capabilities to better withstand external shocks and move toward high income status. Economists said manufacturing, agribusiness, renewable energy, digital services, and creative industries could attract more investment, boost exports, and create higher quality jobs. But they said this would require stronger workforce skills, better infrastructure, and deeper links between local firms and global supply chains. PIDS researcher John Paulo Rivera said the goal should not be to replace consumption and services, but to complement them with higher value sources of growth. The Philippines was recently reclassified as an upper middle income economy after recording GNI per capita of $4,850. Still, the Department of Economy, Planning and Development said the country continues to trail regional peers in investment and exports. The Philippines ASEAN chairship has put prosperity corridors at the center of its regional agenda, a push to build stronger links for trade, investment, digital transformation, and inclusive growth. The EU-Philippines Free Trade Agreement could be a major part of that story. Beyond lowering trade barriers, it could give European companies more confidence to expand in the Philippines and use it as a platform for the wider ASEAN market. Joining us ahead of the ASEAN-EU Business Summit in Manila is Chris Humphrey, Executive Director of the EU-ASEAN Business Council, which represents European business interests across the region. It's good to see you, Chris. Welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, so how's that FTA coming along?
Well, progress is happening, but as ever with FTA negotiations, the tough stuff is right at the very end. We were hoping it would be completed by now. Our next hope is that it will be completed by the time of our business summit here in Manila on the 22nd of September.
Well, what's the holdup? I mean, I was just speaking with EU Ambassador Santoro in Cebu at the Leader Summit at the sidelines, and he was really hopeful that it was going to happen in the second quarter.
Yeah, we were all hopeful. We were all hopeful it would be done by the time of the President's State of the Nation address. There's been a bit of a hold-up. There's two issues that I'm aware of. One is government procurement, and one is access for certain agricultural products from the Philippines to the EU. Neither of those are insurmountable, and we believe actually progress is being made intersessionally between formal rounds, and we're really hopeful that on the 22nd of September there will be an announcement.
The procurement issue, is that because of the flood control corruption scandal?
It didn't help, let's be quite honest, and it basically meant there wasn't anybody there to cover government procurement as part of the negotiations. I believe that problem's been resolved. I believe things are making progress. And the agricultural products issue is really a European issue. We need to make sure that European farmers don't kick up too much of a fuss.
All right, so let's then put that in the backdrop against what's happening in the next 3 to 4 weeks with the ASEAN-EU Business Summit, where you talk a lot about prosperity corridors. And in fact, the Philippines being a part of the cluster of ASEAN countries, you're hoping to seal free trade agreements with. I mean, what are you hoping would be the practical outcomes between government and business as that summit comes through?
Well, we chose the theme Prosperity Corridors because it's a sub-theme for Philippines ASEAN chairmanship for the year. And Prosperity Corridors means talking about economic integration, it means talking about free trade agreements, it means removing barriers to trade, it means upskilling our workforces as well for the future. So it's a whole bundle of things. And we're covering all of that at the Business Summit. We're going to be covering sustainable finance, we'll be covering the ASEAN Power Grid, we'll be covering inclusive finance as well. We'll also be covering food and nutrition issues, as well as general trade issues. I'm hoping to have a special ministerial panel involving the countries that the EU is currently negotiating FTAs with. You mentioned those FTAs. They're a key part of the EU's trade agenda with the region. We already have Singapore and Vietnam. We have Indonesia complete and about to be signed. We'll have the Philippines complete, hopefully, by the 22nd of September. And then I think within the next 12 months, we'll see Malaysia and Thailand get over the line as well, at which point there's real critical mass and a real prosperity corridor, as we want to call it, between Europe and Southeast Asia can truly flourish.
And that sequencing is very important because, as I know, you wanted the Philippines FTA to come through first before Thailand and Malaysia. What are the chances that that sequencing might be disrupted in view of the Prosperity Corridors agenda?
I don't think it will be disrupted. The Philippines will happen first. There's an absolute timetable that needs to be adhered to for the Philippines, partly driven by your electoral cycle here in the Philippines. And then Thailand and Malaysia, they've not been moving as fast. I think they're a little bit more complex in terms of the negotiations. The Philippines has been relatively smooth, and I think that's testament to the economic team you have here in the Philippines.
But implementation remains to be a sticky pain point when it comes to European investors. I mean, what is keeping them from investing? What is that major gap that needs to be addressed if indeed we're part of that FTA cluster of corridors for ASEAN EU?
Okay, let's look at mobile. Look at investment. Investment money is mobile, and companies will invest where they think they can see the best return on their investment. Which in that respect means Southeast Asia is in effect in competition with other parts of the world, and within Southeast Asia, the 11 ASEAN member states are in competition with each other. Whoever can implement agreements better, whoever can remove those barriers to investment and those barriers to trade better, whoever provides more regulatory certainty, and whoever can demonstrate clearly that they're on the right path, they're on a reform path, they're on an economic growth path, they're the ones that will win out in all of this. I'll give you a little hint. Our latest business sentiment survey, we're just finalizing it now, but I can tell you there's a slight improvement over last year's results in terms of European companies looking to expand their operations in the Philippines. And I think that's testament to the economic reform packages that the Philippines have been pushing through. It's also testament to the FTA negotiations and how well they've been going. Once those FTA negotiations are complete and it's signed and it's ratified and implemented, I think you'll see trade with Europe really take off, and you'll see investments from Europe into the Philippines really take off as well.
What's that slight improvement? Could you give us a bit more color?
You need to make sure that you are not only talking about economic reform, but you actually are delivering on economic reform. So for investors to see real progress, they want to see things being implemented. And that's always been the sticking point, not just here in the Philippines, but elsewhere in the world as well. Delivering on your policies and implementing those policy changes is key. So if we can actually see the investment climate is easing, regulatory issues are easing, taxation issues are easing, then people will invest.
I'm going to pick up on taxation issues because just about a week ago, the ECCP, through the Joint Foreign Chambers, issued a call for clearer and more certain tax rules, application and cross-border services. I mean, how much of a concern is that, an impediment?
I think, if we don't have clear taxation rules, if things are opaque, if people aren't certain as to what tax bills they're going to be facing going forward.
Is it still here in the Philippines?
Clearly, otherwise the ECCP and the Joint Chambers wouldn't have issued that statement. So I think we just need to make sure that the government is listening and the government is making those steps to make sure that there's clarity there. Without clarity, that makes investors edgy, and they will always look somewhere else.
And when you speak about mobility and the digital economic framework that is so important and a deliverable of this government as ASEAN chair, how important is that to create that agreement? You mentioned policies, agreements. How important is that in getting that across so that there could be more cross-border services and that the Philippines would be investable for European companies?
You're referring to ASEAN's Digital Economy Framework Agreement. That will be signed at the Leaders' Summit in November here in Manila. Everyone knows that will be signed then. What's exactly in it remains a bit of a mystery because it's been very closely guarded secret. We're told there are certain things in there. It will provide an overarching architecture for governing the digital economy throughout Southeast Asia. What businesses really want to see is the free flow of cross-border data with certain privacy safeguards in place because that enables us to trade easier across the region. Whether it contains those it's a wait and see. Actually on that issue. But there are other areas which we are aware of, e-invoicing, e-signatures, digital identity, standardizing rules on e-commerce, which are all going to be contained in DEFRA. Now, it will be a real boon, and it will see the digital economy in Southeast Asia really take off. It's already estimated to be a $1 trillion business in the next 5 years. If DEFRA comes in and if DEFRA is properly implemented, it could see that double.
All right, the Philippines and the EU, both signatories of Pact Silica. What do you think is going to be the conditions that European firms need to see to be investable for AI-led manufacturing?
Well, we're going to need a number of things. First of all, we're going to need a green energy supply. We're going to need the right skills for workers, and we're going to need the right enabling factors. And that again goes back to the Digital Economy Framework Agreement and what that says about the future of AI and the future of technologies. The outlook is pretty good, and the Philippines has a very tech-savvy population. So I think the skills issue is less of a problem here in the Philippines than it is perhaps elsewhere. So the outlook is looking pretty good. There is a real need for AI going forward and AI skill sets, and everyone's hungry to develop AI in their businesses as well. The Philippines, I think, is well placed.
All right. All the best in the summit. Thank you so much, Chris, for the updates. Appreciate the insights. Chris Humphrey, the Executive Director of the EU ASEAN Business Council. The Department of Energy is preparing to roll out a 7.5 billion peso program to gradually remove non-technical system losses among electric cooperatives. Under this plan, non-technical losses will be phased out in 4 phases with a required funding of 7.5 billion pesos. The program will focus on stronger enforcement, consumer education, billing efficiency, and meter management. Non-technical losses arise from pilferage and illegal connections, known commonly as jumpers. For technical losses, the DOE, the Energy Regulatory Commission, and the National Electrification Administration are crafting a separate plan set to be finalized by July 2027.
Sa electric co-ops, on the average, the system loss is about 10.45%. Yung nanggagaling sa non-technical loss, around 4+%. Doon naman sa technical loss, ito yung medyo magtatagal tayo, no? So we will take the first 6 months of 2027 to come up with the plan. This is rather complex, no? So just to explain partially yung key components, ano? Yung mga sub-transmission lines, kailangang i-reroute yung iba at saka increase yung capacity. Kasi pag mas maliit ang kable mo, mas mataas yung losses noon.
President Marcos promised to remove system losses to lower power costs, but the Energy Department admits they may not completely eliminate the charge in time for Marcos's final SONA next year.
By then, dapat naka 50% na reduce yung ating non-technical system loss. Kasi yung first reduction natin, 25. After another 3 months, 25. So dapat by the time mag-SONA si President, na-reduce na natin by about 50% yung non-technical system loss.
Meantime, fuel prices are up this week over lingering uncertainties in the Middle East. Diesel goes up by 2 pesos and 31 cents per liter, gasoline by 1 peso and 8 cents, and kerosene by 95 cents. Overseas, Washington has unveiled sanctions against 60 individuals, entities, and vessels doing business with Iran. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent warns countries continuing to partner with Iran that they will be forced out of the dollar-based financial system. As of 8:30 a.m. Philippine time, benchmark Brent crude trading at $90 a barrel, down less than 0.1%. West Texas Intermediate sitting at $85 a barrel, up 0.1%. Delayed allotment releases have slowed the implementation of DPWH's infrastructure projects. Speaking before the Philippine Economic Briefing in Davao, Acting Budget Secretary Kim Robert De Leon says the obligation rate for allotments is ranging between 20 and 30%. That means infra programs, particularly those under DPWH, are already behind schedule. While DBM has already released 527 billion pesos of DPWH's 530 billion adjusted program under the 2026 budget, 403 billion were only disbursed in May, leaving agencies less time to complete procurement and obligate funds. You're watching Money Talks. Coming up, the Securities and Exchange Commission looks into raising the 100 million peso minimum capital requirement for stockbrokers. And a preview of Day 18 of the impeachment trial. Keep it here on One News. It's Kathy. Thanks for waiting. We'll be on with you. I hope you can hear me.
Good morning, Ms.
Well, Welcome back to Money Talks. I'm Kathy Yang. The House prosecution panel is set to present a new witness in the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte to testify on the alleged misuse of confidential funds. Let's get details from our mobile journalist, Fatima Baduria. So what can we expect today, Fatima?
Good morning, Kathy. For day 18 of the impeachment trial, besides presenting a new witness, the presiding officer, Chiz Escudero, is also set to make a decision on the sub judice rule or the restriction of those involved in the trial to make public statements or public comments regarding the merits of the case. This is after counsel for the prosecution, Amando Virgiligutan, last week posted on Facebook saying that it is a principle that all lawyers and all law students know by heart that misleading questions are not allowed even on a cross-examination. Now, even though he did not drop any names, this post was made after a heated exchange between a counsel for the prosecution, Lorna Kapunan, and counsel for the respondent, Christine Ferrer, wherein Kapunan was saying that the defense cannot ask a witness to answer only in a yes or no. And then she said that misleading questions are not allowed on a examination. But then after that, Christine Ferreira said that it is allowed. But later on, lead counsel for the respondent clarified that it was not a response to that statement. And of course, she said no that Ferrer of course knows that misleading questions are not allowed on a cross-examination. Now, previously, impeachment court spokesperson Reginald Tonggol has already explained what would happen or what may happen when the sub judice rule is violated. It can be una, pwedeng warning pa lang or pwedeng admonition, pwedeng mapagsabihan yung both parties. Pero yung mabigat na pataw na dito is that they can be cited in contempt with different penalties depending on the court. Pero ang nilinaw naman nitong goal is that pwedeng madaan ito sa usapan between the court and both parties, the prosecution and the defense. And isa pa sa inaabangan natin is whether the suggestion of presiding officer Chiz Escudero for both parties to choose a different spokesperson na hindi involved sa trial will remain as a recommendation or as a requirement this time. Pero yesterday nga sa press conference ng prosecution, nabanggit nila na this will be a limitation not only on the side of the prosecution but also on the defense, and they're asking for flexibility nga. Dahil sabi naman nila, itong public statements and their comments naman is for them to go against the fake news that they're seeing on social media. Yun daw yung goal nila for those public statements. But also we're expecting that the prosecution will call Lemuel Ortonio, Assistant Chief of Staff of the Office of the Vice President, today on the witness stand. Supposedly, Edward Fajardo, the Special Disbursing Officer of the Department of Education, siya sana yung unang sasalang sa witness stand. Pero yesterday, the court received a medical certificate saying that he suffered a stroke. Pero the presiding officer naman yesterday has tasked the Medical Bureau of the Impeachment Court to verify his condition so he can be either called on a later time, or pwedeng excuse depending sa findings ng Medical Bureau. And then after Ortonio naman, ay yung AFP officials muna ang tatawagin sa witness stand for their testimony. Kathy.
Okay, maraming salamat sa update. Our mobile journalist, Fatima Baduria. Let's take a quick check on the Philippine peso and see how that's open. This Tuesday, it is a tad weaker, 61.777 to the dollar. The peso dropped 6 centavos yesterday to settle at 61.73 to the dollar. Traders await the Bangko Central's Monetary Board decision. They are also digesting the newest economic sanctions imposed by the U.S. against Iran. Checking in on the markets overseas, U.S. stock futures are little changed in overnight trading ahead of Nvidia's earnings and consumer confidence data releases. The Dow, the S&P 500, and the Nasdaq fall less than 0.1%. Asian markets are mixed in early Tuesday trading. South Korea's Kospi tumbles 2.6%. Japan's Nikkei 225 sheds 0.9%, and Australia's ASX 200 gains 0.4%. Wall Street started the week muted as geopolitical tensions weighed on major stock indexes. The Nasdaq fell 0.75%, S&P shed nearly 1/3, and the Dow climbed 0.25%. Late session buying lifted Philippine markets Monday. Benchmark PSEI rose 0.2% to close at 6,251. Throughout the session, investors were cautiously trading over news of an economic D-Day against Iran. But buying interest picked up toward the close, pushing the markets into positive territory. Trading was thin with total value turnover at 4.97 billion pesos. The broader all shares index traded near the flat line, with sectoral gauges a mixed bag. The 10-year government bond yields ticked down to 7.291%. And the latest developments in the corporate front, the Securities and Exchange Commission is considering raising the 100 million peso minimum capital requirement for stockbrokers, saying the threshold has not changed since 2001. The move is part of a broader push to strengthen market intermediaries, improve liquidity, and deepen the Philippine financial market. Emperador has re-entered the FTSE Global Equity Index Series as a small-cap constituent, the only Philippine company newly added in the latest review. The liquor maker also agreed to settle part of its equity-linked securities through a 1.4 billion peso cash payment instead of issuing common shares. Meralco has upgraded its Northport substation in Tondo, Manila to strengthen network safety and improve power reliability. The project includes higher capacity circuit breakers, disconnect switches, and other system improvements benefiting major customers such as hospitals, LRT stations, and universities in the area. And that is it for Money Talks. I'm Kathy Yang. Catch us again tomorrow at 9 a.m. Kapatid, we are One News, all sides, all the time. Morning Matters returns at 9:30 a.m. Have a great day ahead.
Good morning mga kapatid. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. More questions are piling up over the OVP's confidential funds, from unusual names on acknowledgement receipts to the way hundreds of millions of pesos were handled. Here's the report.
Pagong, Pusa, and Belat. Those are among the new names that have surfaced on the list of people who allegedly received confidential funds from Vice President Sara Duterte. Some of them were listed as having received between 100,000 and 250,000 pesos. The prosecution then asked former disbursing officer Gina Acosta whether she personally saw if the money was actually spent on confidential activities. Acosta pointed to former OVP security officer Raymond La Chica.
Nakita mo ba si Colonel La Chica na nagbigay ng 100,000 pesos in confidential funds sa isang Antonio Pagong?
Hindi ko siya nakita, Your
Okay.
Honor, kasi wala po ako doon sa ground.
Timon, Andrew Pusa, nakatanggap ng 100. Same sagot ba? Hindi nyo nakita si Colonel La Chica nagbigay ng pera, hindi po 1,000, 100,000 pesos sa isang Timon, Andrew Pusa. Hindi po ba?
Hindi ko po, kasi wala ako doon, Your
Wala po
Honor.
kayo.
Acosta said she did ask La Chica whether the names were legitimate, but she said La Chica told her to simply follow the documents because the names were confidential. Senator Judge Raffy Tulfo saw a red flag in that explanation.
So if you're a normal or average person, papalag ka na naman. Teka muna, Colonel, bakit ganito? Bastusan na to, lokohan to.
Piniripay ko po yon si Colonel La Chica, Your Honor. At ang sagot naman niya sa akin, Ma'am Gina, those are sensitive information, Ma'am Gina. At saka, in nature po yon.
Naging stupido kayo sa ngalan ng isang tinatawag na blind loyalty. Nakapikit kung ano yung sinasabi sa iyo ng nakakataas, sinusunod mo na lang. Stupido ka pa rin, pero in the name of blind loyalty. Would you agree?
Dili ko maintindihan, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
Acosta also admitted that she handed La Chica about 500 million pesos in confidential funds from 2022 to 2023, even though he was not the accountable officer. Then, she said there was no acknowledgement receipt showing that La Chica received the money. The prosecution then called the arrangement a modus operandi.
Ito yung modus operandi nyo, ibibigay yung pera sa isang security officer, hindi banded, tsaka babawiin, sinasabi mo, ng pinagbigyan ng pera.
It's misleading because there's no the witness testified that she does not remember.
Counsel, we both know modus has a secondary and double meaning. We can always use. Is this the standard operating procedure that you followed when you were SDO and under the OVP?
Acosta was also called out for her allegedly repetitive and template answers as a hostile witness. At one point, she said she could not remember the answer to a prosecution question about Davao City's confidential funds.
No notice of suspension issued by the Commission on Audit against you, correct? When you were, and there's no notice of suspension issued against then Mayor Sara Duterte, correct?
Wala po.
Magically, now this witness remembers what happened in Davao. Kanina, when the prosecution was asking her, sabi niya,
Counsel is
hindi niya
testifying,
maalala.
Your Honor.
The prosecution team in Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial is set to present a new witness on day 18 of the proceedings. Office of the Vice President Assistant Chief of Staff Lemuel Ortonio is set to testify after former OVP Special Disbursing Officer Gina Acosta was excused from the witness stand. Former Department of Education Special Disbursing Officer Edward Fajarda, who was supposed to testify next, will not take the stand during the August 25 and 26 hearings following a stroke. The prosecution has reserved September 7 for Fajarda's testimony.
And now to help us better understand the latest developments in Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial and what they could mean moving forward, we are joined by litigation lawyer, Attorney Howard Calleja. Welcome back, Attorney. Good
Hi.
morning to you.
Good morning, Pauline, Cheska, and Angela. My mornings are always better with the three of you.
Wow. Well, we are
Good to
so
have you.
honored to have you join us again.
Yeah.
Pero paano ba yan, Attorney? May mga bagong pangalan na naman. Dati pinag-uusapan natin sila Mickey Mango,
Favorite
si Mickey Mouse, sabi mo pa, diba?
But ngayon, sabi ko, it's more of that. It's more than just the names, no? I mean, sa akin, I would rather look at the demeanor talaga nung witness na si Acosta kasi although nakakagulat yung pangalan, maraming ibang pangalan na lumalabas, nakita natin na nakakagulat yung demeanor nung testigo. Kasi unang-una, pagkausap niya si Ligutan, Bisaya siya. Pero nung cross-examine siya nung defense, English. He understands Tagalog in English and replies in Tagalog in English. No? Mostly English pa nga. But the most damning for me, kaya tama na tinawag siya na hostile witness, kasi to me, hindi man ako nagulat kasi sanay na ako dyan sa mga testigong ganyan, yung plakado. Ibig sabihin, well-rehearsed yung mga salita. At if you look at it, kahit anong tanong, hindi na responsive yung kanyang sagot kasi yung sagot niya, isa lang, pareho. Tama nga yung sinabi ni former Senate President Tito Soto, template. No? Kahit anong sabihin, kahit anong tanungin, bumabalik lang doon. So parang rehearse siya na parang yun at yun na lang. Na kung makita natin, if it is in a regular court of law, kitang-kita na may nagsisinungaling o merong mga tinatago. Pero ito, siyempre, it is a collegial body, plus it is partly legal, partly political. So hindi natin alam kung paano na-appreciate yan ng ibang senator judges at yung ibang senator judges acting as defense lawyers.
Pero Attorney, despite Gina Acosta giving templated answers, was her testimony able to strengthen the case of the prosecution?
Well, sa akin, as I said, no, klaro naman yung sinabi niya, even yung pagsabi na si Vice President yung nag-utos, di ba? So I think that is already clear. Malinaw yun at malakas yun. Yung kanyang pagkaplakado strengthened the demeanor, meaning makikita na siya talaga testigo ng depensa, hindi testigo ng prosecution. Plus, whatever she said did not put any value to the defense, but only more value to the prosecution. Kasi makikita mo doon kung ano yung tama at ano yung mali. So ano yung inamin niya? Vice President ang nagutos. Inamin niya yon. So klaro yon. Yung plakado niya, alam natin na briefed yon. If I were the judge, kita ko na alam ko which of the statements were true and which of the statements are untrue or rehearsed.
So pero why do you think or dapat ba ang prosecution ay kunin sila Chika as their another hostile witness at this point base doon sa sinabi ni Gina Acosta? And why do you think parang there's somehow reluctance from the prosecution to get La Chica at this point?
Well, my question to the prosecution is for what purpose do they like La Chica to enter as a witness, no? Kasi klaro naman na sinabi ng COA na ang disbursing officer is the final say. Siya ang merong bond, siya may pananagutan doon sa pera at siya dapat mag-liquidate at mag-ayos. So any transfer to anybody, klaro yun na bawal na yon. May misuse na yon, meron illegality na doon. So yun, established na yon, no? Ngayon, ano ba yung sasabihin nila, Chika? Ang tanong naman dyan is, ako as a lawyer, ang tanong is, if I am unsure or if I do not know what my witness will say, why will I ask or why will I present? Let's say in cross-examination, I will not ask you an open-ended question that I do not know or I am not sure about your answer. Kaya kung makikita mo yung cross-examine, yes or no usually ang gustong sagot. Kasi kumaga pinapain mo siya sa isang klaseng tanong or isang klaseng sagot. Now, pagdating dito, you present a witness. Of course, it is, as you said, a hostile witness. Hindi mo siya makakausap, hindi mo malalaman kung ano yung sasabihin niya. Unlike Acosta, which ginawa mong hostile witness, pero nakakahon na siya doon sa sinabi niya, doon sa house testimony. Remember, nag-house hearing na. So kung kunyari, she would veer outside of those statements, meron kang preba, may transcript kasi, teka muna, bakit sinabi mo dito ganito? Pero before, ito yung sinabi mo, so may panglaban ka. Ito, hindi mo alam kung ano yung sasabihin nila Chika because he hasn't appeared. Di ba? So, may malaking question mark yan. So, would I take the risk? I think that is a question that the prosecution should answer. If you ask me, maganda na yung paglatag eh. Nakita na yung misuse, nakita na yung illegality, nakita na yung disallowance kasi from the land bank to the COA, now to Acosta, klaro na mali yung paggasta at nakita pa ito sina Mickey Mouse, Mango, Dilim.
Mango.
Sama-sama na natin kasi nakakatawa eh.
Meron pang may laman eh.
May laman. Buti dito maliwanag, hindi ang dilim.
Kasi yung ngit-ngit daw pala sa Bisaya, tama ba?
Madilim.
Madilim daw. So baka kabag-anak daw ni Andy.
So, yun na nga. So makikita mo na ako, ang sabi ko nga, hindi lang binastos ang public funds, binastos pa ang reporting. Kasi kung makikita mo yung sagot ni Acosta, parang sinasabi niya, kasi confidential, kasi security. Parang it's a blanket authority na saying, kung confidential, I should not be accountable.
There's no accountability.
If it is confidential, I should not report. But that is not what the law says. That is not what the COA circular says. Di ba? So, dapat klaruhin natin sa taong bayan na confidential funds are accountable. Confidential funds has a procedure on how to account with the COA. And if that is not satisfactory to the COA, meron silang report. And if further unexplained, it can be a disallowance. At klaro dito, sa instance na ito, pinag-explain sila ng maraming beses, hindi nila napaliwanag, kaya may disallowance ang COA, no? Na more than 400 million. Kasi total nito 500 million. Hindi naman lahat din disallow. Pero more than 400 million ang na-disallow dito. And if you look at it, COA is a final arbiter or final say with regards to funds of government. Sinasabi nila na pwede pa yan dalhin sa Supreme Court. But it's not on appeal. You're not appealing the COA decision. You're putting on certiorari. When you talk of certiorari, it is abuse of discretion, not appeal of the decision. So tatanong mo, doon sa ginawa ng COA, abusado sila doon sa kanilang pagproseso o doon sa kanilang ginawa, kaya dinadala mo sa Supreme Court. Meron silang dinabag on their discretion, abuse of discretion, not on how they, kasi ang Supreme Court is kumbaga whatever factual circumstance, kasi makita ng COA is kumbaga anong tawag dito? The final say or the expert in accountability. So they would take the facts as it is. They cannot change the facts. So hindi siya on appeal. It is on abuse of discretion.
Well, Attorney, yesterday also, I mean, we heard repetitive answers. Yun na nga sabi na nga ng senator judges. It was template or canned. But when it comes to it, I mean, it's expected that a witness will be briefed. But can you explain the difference between a briefed witness, a coached witness, and tampering with the witness?
Ganito yan, Jessica. For example, I'm the lawyer. I tell you, for example, sabihin na lang natin, can you tell me, Jessica, saan mo dinala yung pera? So, ikikwento mo sa akin. So, when I present you, alam ko na yung kwento mo. That is briefing.
Okay.
Di ba? Pagkatapos mo dinala, kinino mo binigay. Anong nangyari after that? So, nag-usap na tayo. Pero kung sinabi, ay, binigay mo pala kay La Chica, pwede mo pang sabihin. Pagbigay mo kay La Chica, pag tinanong ka kung bakit, ang sasabihin mo, dahil siya yung confidential, dahil siya yung may alam. So, that is already coach. I already told you on why did you give it to, or the explanation why you give it to La Chica. Pag sinabi mo naman tampered, ito naman yan. Ay, binigay ko kay Chippy. Di ba? Sabihin mo na lang, pinirmahan ni Chippy. Sabihin mo na, nakita mo, kahit hindi mo naman nakita. O bigyan mo ako ng acknowledgement receipt. o pirmahan mo na lang. O din mas masama yun because you not only tamper the testimony, you tamper the document. Oh. So yun ang mga diferensya nun. I mean, I'm not saying this happened in this situation. I'm just giving an example on maybe how briefing vis-a-vis tampering or coaching is concerned.
Well, Pauline, isingit ko lang doon sa question ni Cheska, no? Kasi what struck me also doon sa sinabi nila, Gina Acosta met with the defense prior to the hearing. So, ano ba, meron bang parang ethical predicament or violation ang defense na ginawa doon na minute nila muna itong si Gina Acosta?
Hindi naman. Kasi nga, hostile witness ito, defense talaga ito witness ito ng defense. In the same light na yung witness naman ng prosecution, for example, yung land bank. I'm sure nag-briefing yan before nag-hearing. Yung COA, kinausap nila yan. Kasi as I said, hindi mo naman sasabihin na ganito ka sumagot. Ang tanong mo, ano bang nangyari? Para at least alam mo. And usually naman in court, meron yung tinatawag na tayong mga affidavit. Kung ano yung napag-usapan, you can put it already in a sworn statement para at least klaro, when you go to court, alam mo na kung ano yung nangyari, kung ano yung sinabi. So, meeting them is not irregular, but coaching them would be unethical.
Nasabi nila,
bordering on.
Unethical pag kinoach mo na kung ano yung isasagot. Kasi, kumbaga, hindi na yun yung... Kasi, remember, witnesses should be there for their personal knowledge.
Yes.
If you already coach them, hindi na personal knowledge yon. Iniiba mo na yung storya or pinapaikot mo na to suit your purpose or to suit your narrative. So, hindi na briefing yun.
Kaya nga
Coaching
nagtataka
na yun.
yung tao, that makes it a big question nga daw because she met with the defense, tapos ito yung templated answer niya. Kaya para nagkakaroon ng kulay.
Precisely. That's why kitang-kita. Kasi kung titignan mo yung previous witness, yung sagot nila was consistent. Parang ano lang parang regular ang sagot, di ba? Ito, kung ano man yung sagot niya, parang kita mo, it is only one phrase na hindi naaalis dun sa phrase. Parang nakakahon, di ba? Sabi nga natin, plakado, kahon ang tawag namin dyan sa mga abogado. Na, tignan mo, iba yung tanong, pero yung sagot niya, dinadala niya pa rin sa confidential and security. Iba na naman yung tanong, pero babalikin niya dun sa confidential and security. Wala siyang ibang sagot, wala siyang ibang reply. She always goes back to that reply. So parang nakita mo na hindi lang ito briefing, pero mukhang ito na-coach to a certain parameter that she did not leave. Kumbaga, she just went into that box. Whatever was asked, she just said, she just parroted what was asked of her. That is my impression. I'm not saying that happened, but that is the impression that I took from the last 2 days, last week and yesterday's witness na si Acosta.
Okay, so clearly, Gina Acosta is liable and accountable to an extent. Pero attorney, could she be made as the scapegoat here for the misuse of confidential funds? Can she take the fault, take the blame instead of the vice president? Kasi mukhang ganun na rin yung gustong gawin siguro ng depensa na ang accountable dito, si Gina Acosta, siya naman yung bonded. Even if she was just following instructions from the vice president, mukhang willing din naman siya maging sacrificial lamb.
Well, yun ang nakakalungkot dahil kumbaga she's taking the fault, taking the blame. Tama ka dyan, Pauline. But kung titignan natin, klaro naman doon at doon din sa testimony before her, doon sa COA, hindi lang naman ang Special Disbursement Officer ang liable, pati yung head of agency. Kasi ultimately, yung head of agency ang liable sa pera ng kanyang ahensya, ng kanyang departamento. No? At sinabi din naman ni Acosta na ang authority nito galing kay Vice President Sara. Kung ito banded at tinakbo niya ang pera, di dapat yung head of agency nagalit. Di ba, yung head of agency, dapat ang nagreklamo, bakit mo tinakbo ang pera? They are justifying the use for the Vice President. And the Vice President accepts and says na, tama, ginamit namin yan para dito, para dito, para dito. So, bakit natin isa lang ang mananagot? Kasama ang Vice President, kasama ang whoever other people that are within this conspiracy. So, tingnan pa natin, kaya may mga iba pang siguro lalabas, ng mga testigo. So, tingnan na lang natin kung sino pa yung kanilang mapunto. No? But then again, that has to be filed on a separate case. Yeah. Kasi we have to remember, impeachment only has 2 penalties. Removal from office and to prevent you from ever serving any public office after that.
Pero, attorney, anong basa nyo din dun sa sagot ni Gina Acosta? No? Sa tanong ni Senator Risa Ontiveros na fair ba? fair ba na you will be taking the blame for someone else's decision? Ang sagot ni Gina Acosta doon, alam naman ni Vice President Sara Duterte yung ginagawa niya.
Kasi nga, sabi nga, ang ano ko dyan I would not use the word stupid because nagtatanga-tangahan, I wouldn't use that in court. Although, I leave that up to Senator Tulfo. Pero parang ang klaro naman yung sabi niya is blind loyalty. No? Sadly, if you are a civil service employee, kasi ito government employee, civil service employee, dapat ang loyalty mo sa gobyerno, ang loyalty mo sa bayan, hindi sa tao. Pero obviously, nakikita natin na ang loyalty niya dito dun sa boss niya, dun sa tao, hindi dun sa constitution natin, hindi dun sa batas, hindi dun sa bayan. So sadly, sana ito rin ay maging aral sa ating mga civil service employees, no? Na pwede silang maging fall guy at sila naman yung mananagot eventually. Pero kung titingnan natin, as I said, COA already said, and nasa batas naman natin klaro yan, na dapat managot pati yung head of agency. Unless, yun nga, yung head of agency mismo nagsabing mali yung ginawa mo at kumbaga he or she ran after the SDO.
Well, yesterday also, there were some words spoken during the trial from the people who were in the trial, yung common sense comment by Attorney Ligutan or ayoko nang marinig yung template from Senator Tito Soto to you are stupid in the name of blind loyalty by Senator Raffy Tulfo. In an impeachment setting, it could be construed as whether dismissive or harsh. Is this necessary? Is this justified or is it too much?
Well, sa akin, some of those are, tingin ko, passable. I wouldn't say allowable, I would say passable. Kasi it's, kumbaga parang yung kunyari sinabing common sense o template, tingin ko ano lang yun, that's part of that. Sa akin, too harsh naman yung sinabing, stupid or whatever.
In the name of blind loyalty.
Pwedeng sabihin na you blind loyalty, whatever it is, kasi stupid to me is a harsh or is a derogatory word. That's it. No? Common sense might not, hindi naman yan sa tingin ko derogatory, di ba? Although parang minamaliit mo yung tao. So sa akin lang, I think it's part of the process. But sa akin, I would not use something as harsh as stupid. But hindi nating maalis siguro yung bugso ng damdamin ng mga judge o ng mga abogado. Kasi nga, obvious na linoloko na tayo ni Acosta Di ba? So parang kung ikaw judge, parang bakit mo ako ninoloko? Paulit-ulit ka na lang. So baka doon din na dinala. I'm not saying tama o mali, but it's not for me to use it. But if they wanna use it, I leave it up to them.
Pero what about Senator Amy Marcos? What do you make of her questions? At first saying si SDO ang accountable in this whole scenario. And then secondly, what is the relevance of her asking about the husband of that witness?
Mali nga yung logic ni Senator Amy. Kasi kung makikita mo yung tanong niya, nahawakan ba ni VP? Nahawakan ba ni ganyan? Yun ang kanyang line of reasoning Di ba? So dapat ang tanong niya, since hindi nahawakan, di ikaw ang liable. Ikaw lang ang mananagot. Dapat doon ang bagsak nun Kasi remember, last week, ang sabi niya, doon sa last couple of weeks, ang sabi niya sa COA, di ba ang mananagot yung SDO lang?
Yes.
Yun ang kanyang final doon sa COA.
That's her point.
That's her point. So dapat, ito rin yung punto niya dito. O hindi hinawakan, hindi niya nakuha, wala siyang ginansya. O di dapat ikaw lang. Dapat yun ang bagsak doon. Di ba? So, binagsak niya doon sa sakit ng asawa niya. Parang non sequitur. It doesn't follow.
Yes.
Di ba? So, ewan ko, pinaiyak lang niya Nagkaroon lang.
You think it's just an appeal to the public's
Appeal to pity na yan, appeal to sympathy na yan. So, naglagay na naman ng konting, tsaka siguro, kung nakitang ganon, kasi baka yung ibang judge hindi rin alam, baka it's also an appeal na para the other judges would be soft on her. Kasi kita mo si Senator Bam.
When he followed.
Ang taga niya bago, parang he was hesitant
Yeah.
No? Pero magaganda yung tanong ni Senator Bam. Pero ganun, Before he started. Pero ganun din yun. If I were in court also, tanungin ko rin yung witness, ma'am, can you continue? Gusto ba ng tissue? Gusto ba ng papel, ng tubig, etc. Kasi it would change the mood and the atmosphere. Pero mabuti na lang si Senator Bam yung sumunod at maayos naman yung tanong niya. Although he gave her time, which ta akin would be a good kumbaga trait of a good gentleman like Senator Bam. Pero talagang hindi pa rin natinag si Acosta sa kanyang pagsisinungaling at sa kanyang template. Talagang pareho lang yung sagot niya kahit ano sabihin mo.
Pero attorney, kagabi on the big story with CES, sinabi nyo na yung defense parang nagpapaka-underdog talaga, especially when they're fielding very young lawyers, right, to do the cross-examination. But why would it benefit the defense team for them to be the underdogs in this trial?
Kasi, as I said, if you know, impeachment is both a political and legal proceeding. So yung political, they are playing to the public Di ba? Makita mo naman, sabi ko nga, si Tita Lorna, yung kanyang pera sa kanyang nakalubotons ba siya? Na sapatos? Hindi ko alam kung... Biro lang, Tita Lorna. Biro lang.
Hindi, maganda kasi talaga yung fashion sense niya.
Maganda. Maganda yung kanyang maganda yung outfit of the day palagi. Kasama ni Congressman Luis Tro. Maganda yung kanilang mga outfit. No? Compare naman sa iba. I'm not saying, but let's not put it kasi on the personality. Pero sana dalhin natin sa ebidensya. Pero kung sa totoo lang, talagang tingin ko, kung tinitingnan na nagpapa-underdog yung si VP, nagpapa-underdog din yung mga abogado.
Lawyers.
Kasi kita mo kinakawawa.
And they're young.
And they're young. Kaya nagiging ang issue, tamo kinakawawa, baka binabastos pa, baka hindi inaano yung mga abogado. So, ang nagiging issue, ano ang laban ng abogado? Pero hindi nakakalimutan natin, ano ba yung ebidensyang lumabas? Ano ba yung ebidensyang linatag? That's why I'm saying, nakita mo, naalala mo, nung si misleading, nung nakaraan, ang daming memes, ang daming issue na lumabas, tama ba yung misleading, etc. It should not be an issue because that's an issue between the lawyers, kung tama ba yung lawyer o hindi. Alam natin, mali siya, pero let's not pound on it anymore. Let's pound on what is the evidence presented, what did the witnesses say, and what did we understand by their testimony. Dapat doon lang tayo Tingnan mo, naiba yung issue.
Oo Parang yun yung talagang naging matunog, yun na yung nag-dominate ng headlines.
Sino ba yung mas magaling na abogado, sino ba yung mas gwapo. Pwede mo sabihin kung sino mas gwapo, sino mas maganda. Siyempre, si Tita Lorna, tita ko yan. Siyempre, hindi naman tita, pero siyempre, being more senior than me, I mean, in court, I call her tita, you know, by respect. No?
Balik tayo sa merito ng kaso, sabi nga nila, para hindi naman nila sabihin na iniiba natin yung usapan. Pero kasi ang ibang mga legal luminaries are saying that the prosecution, yes, was able to establish that there's a wrong, parang mali dun sa proseso ng SDO, 'di ba? Kasi binigay niya yung pera doon sa security officer ni VP Sara. But the line of questionings or how they would frame it, hindi daw napakita na talagang on that particular trial yesterday, hindi napakita na si Vice President Sara Duterte ang may kasalanan. It was just the SDO. Would you agree on that? Or do you have, not necessarily saying na magmamagaling ka, pero do you have somehow wish list na questions?
Meron akong wish list na questions, pero sa akin hindi naman makaka-escape liability si VP Sara because klaro yung sinabi ni SDO na yung utos galing sa kanya. At klaro na tinanong na rin kung hindi yan inutos ni VP Sara, hindi mo naman ibibigay kay La Chica. At klaro rin na bakit ka nagpunta sa land bank at i-withdraw yan in cash, si VP Sara rin yung nag-utos. So yung mga yon, klaro po yun. Baka hindi lang siguro, yun nga sinasabi ko baka hindi lang nila nahimay properly or na-understand ng tao kasi nga nagugulo yung tao, nakikita mas magaling itong isang abogado or umiyak si Acosta dahil yung asawa pala niya may sakit. So nagkakaroon ng ibang kumbaga external factors or other factors sa issue, sa kaso na hindi naman sana pumasok. Pero kung titingnan natin, sabi ko nga, established, nag-withdraw ng cash, unusual. Di ba? Sabi ng COA, may misuse, and disallowed, di ba? Sabi rin ng COA, illegal pag hindi SDO ang nag-disburse. Kasi iba ang disbursement, iba ang implementation. It is not the same, it is not synonymous, pero parang ginagawa niya pareho di ba? So kung klaro 'yon, na-establish na natin. There is unusual, there is irregular, there is misuse, and there is illegality. So, where does the blame go? Number one, yung SDO, dahil siya yung ultimately dapat nag-disburse. Number two, kasama niya doon sa liability is the Vice President. Kasi sino ba yung pinagtiwalaan ng pera in the first place? Is the head of agency. So, kaya nga merong loss of public trust. Di ba? So, doon yung impeachable offense. Pagtitiwalaan ba natin ng perang bayan ang Vice President kung hindi niya ma-account properly yung 500 or 600 million na yan? Tapos meron pang ibang issues of grave threats, of yung unexplained wealth na 6.7, etc. So meron pa ba tayong public trust sa kanya? Tapos yung culpability of the Constitution. Kasi nanumpa siya na she will follow the rules or follow the laws of the land. Eh di ba, nasa laws of the land natin na dapat you are accountable, you are, kumbaga, you will follow the laws of the land. Eh kung naglastay ka ng pera, kung ginasta mo sa hindi tama, di ba illegal yon? So paano mo sinunod yung laws of the land natin? Di ba?
Attorney, I just wanted to get your thoughts on this also because Senator Lauren Legarda just extended her medical leave yet again. So just wanted to get, what do you make of this? How will this affect her judgment when it comes to the impeachment trial? And let's go with Sir Ronald Llamas's assumption, or because we had him on the show also and he said na hindi na babalik yan. So,
Nagpustahan ba kayo? May pustahan nyo, si Ronald.
Meron daw siyang kabet.
So, with that, let's call that a hypothetical scenario. If that does happen, if she does not return by the time the impeachment trial ends, what happens?
Well, I would also first say na, di ba, klaro, flight is indication of guilt. So, doon muna tayo. Hindi ko naman sinasabi may guilty, pero di ba, basic yan. Flight is indication of guilt. Next, kung sasabihin natin na paano siya magde-decide, I think you recall, since the start of this impeachment, I have been advocating, although it's my opinion and opinion of some other people also who might be thinking on the same line as me, it should be those that are present and functional and those that are participating in the trial. No? So, paano magpa-participate, paano mag-judge ang somebody na sabi ko nga at that time, nakakulong? Paano mag-judge ang somebody na nagtatago sa ilalim ng bato? Paano mag-judge ang somebody na hindi ko alam kung medical leave o nag-asylum or whatever or hindi na bumalik? Kasi basically, voluntarily, hindi ka bumalik. So how can you even say na you can be judging? Kasi you have to remember, a non-vote is a vote for the acquittal.
Yes.
So even if you are not there, even by not voting, you are technically destroying the system of accountability because your non-vote is a vote for, kasi 16 you get that. Pero wala naman 16 sa ating constitution. Nakalagay doon 2/3 of all members. So my question there is, when it is all members, it should describe those that are functioning members. Because how can you have accountability? Kung bigla na lang umalis lahat yan, di ayaw na lang mag-participate, di wala na yung accountability natin. Right. Di ba? And I think naman, sabi ko nga, back in 1987, I think our framers did not think na mayroon 5-6 na makukulong o masususpend. Who would have thought? Back in 87, may pupunta sa ICC at magtatago sa ilalim ng bato, etc.
We can see day 18 of the impeachment trial starting. So thank you so much for your time and insights, litigation lawyer, attorney Howard Calleja.
All right, well, it is day 18 of the impeachment trial, so let's all watch this.
Mr. Ortonio, we are in receipt of a request for stipulation with respect to certain circumstances and documents from the prosecution. Is that correct? Do you confirm, Honorable Chua?
Yes, Your Honor.
Of the one The lead counsel for respondent already responded to the request for stipulation for Eduardo Fajardo yesterday, I believe, and
That's
only
correct, Your
stipulated to the first 2 points.
Yes,
Now,
Your
this
Honor.
one for Ortonio, we got it only last night. May I ask the counsel for respondent when you got the request for stipulation?
We also received this just by email.
Is there an equal request for stipulation with respect to documents?
I believe, Your Honor, that on the third page of this new request for stipulation with respect to Mr. Lemuel Ortonio, there are certain documents prosecution request for stipulation. But this will be addressed during the presentation and the cross-examination of the witness, Your Honor.
So can you already comment on the request for stipulation with respect to Ortonio, Attorney Sheila?
We can, Your Honor. We can only stipulate on 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. That's it, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
Hold on, Honorable Chua. In regard to the documents, Attorney Sheila, some of I haven't checked actually individually because this is a different list from the list of documents that I have that Ortonio may identify based on our own study of the pretrial order and markings. How about the documents, Attorney
That's
Sheila?
our concern, Your Honor, since we only received this last night, and this is inconsistent also with the order of this court that any request for stipulation must be provided to other party before the
agree.
hearing, Your Honor. And therefore, we would prefer to hear first the comment of the prosecution on this witness, and we will respond accordingly afterwards, Your Honor. And also, Your Honor, I will ask later on at the start of the presentation of the other counsel to be acknowledged and recognized, Your Honor.
At the appropriate time, Attorney Sheila.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Honorable Chua.
Can I now, Your Honor, turn over to the counsel for the prosecution, Attorney May Divina Gracia?
I'm sorry, Honorable Chua.
May Divina Gracia, Your Honor.
Will be the one. We're not yet there, counsel. I'm still at the point of trying to abbreviate the proceedings, at least with respect to the documents. And to give a shot at the counsel for respondents looking at the documents, how many are common documents or common exhibits? Because to the mind of the counsels, if it is a common exhibit, meaning marked by both parties separately, unless there is proof or allegation of fraud and or palpable mistake or absence of regularity, then it would have to be proven through the witness. Absent that, the court can take it as already being authentic and its due execution having been established without need of proof through the identification of a witness. If there is that chance, the court is willing to give the parties a few minutes while the court is discussing with respect to the point raised by Attorney Sheila last August 12, which will take roughly about 20 to 25 minutes. Would that be enough time, Attorney Sheila, for you
I
to
think,
go
Your
over the
Honor, we'll
documents?
just need around 5 minutes. We're amenable to some stipulation under item number 25, except for item number 25, B and V.
B and?
Beta and Victory, Your Honor. Not common exhibits, but with the rest of the items under number 25, we probably will just be needing 5 minutes to see the prosecution's documents and return to this court with a response to the request for stipulation.
5 minutes? If it's 5 minutes, the court will defer its ruling on your August 12 ban. Simply give you 5 minutes before we call Ortonio. 5 minutes?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, 5 minutes. Court declares a brief recess in order for the parties to be able to stipulate on the documents they will be presenting to the witness Ortonio to save on the court's time. Trial is in recess. The trial is resumed. May we hear from the counsel for the respondent with respect to the proposed stipulations on item number 25 in regard to the documents?
We can stipulate on item number 25, Your Honor, and on the documents listed under that paragraph from A to V, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor, subject to comment on the eventual offer.
Thank you very much, counsel. Thank you for helping the court in abbreviating the proceedings. Now, Honorable Chua, who again will be the one to present the witness, Ortonio?
The counsel for the prosecution, Attorney May Divina Gracia.
Attorney May Divina Gracia. You are recognized, ma'am.
Your Honor.
On the part of the respondents?
May I also ask that Attorney Christine Ferrer be recognized as counsel for the defense today, Your Honor, for this witness.
Attorney Ferrer is recognized.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Good morning,
So
Your
it'll be-
Honors.
Is it correct to address you, Attorney May?
Yes, Your Honor.
So it'll be Attorney May and Attorney Christine. Call your witness, Attorney May.
Your Honor, we would like to call to the witness stand our sixth witness in the person of Mr. Lemuel G. Ortonio.
The clerk of court is directed through the OSA to kindly situate Mr. Ortonio at the witness stand. The clerk of court is directed to administer the oath to the witness.
Mr. Ortonio, please raise your right hand. You, Lemuel G. Ortonio, do swear that the evidence you shall give in the case now pending between the Philippines and Vice President Sara Zimmerman Duterte shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
Kindly place on the record, because it was inaudible, that the witness responded in the affirmative by saying yes. Attorney May, your witness for direct examination, kindly make the offer.
Yes, Your Honor, but before we proceed to our offer, Your Honor, we would like to just read for the record the matters that were already stipulated on, Your Honor, for avoidance of doubt.
You may do so, counsel.
So, first, that the witness, Mr. Lemuel G. Ortonio, is the Assistant Secretary and Assistant Chief of Staff of the Office of the Vice President. Second, he holds the position of Assistant Secretary at salary grade 29. His appointment is coterminous with the term of the Vice President. And fourth, his position is one of trust and confidence. May the defense kindly confirm if those are all the matters that you're willing to stipulate on, as well as, Your Honor, stipulating on the authenticity and the genuine execution of the documents listed in paragraph 25 of the request for stipulation.
Attorney Christine?
Yes, Your Honor, subject to cross-examination.
Duly noted. Kindly proceed with your offer, Attorney May.
Your Honors, we are offering the testimony of Mr. Lemuel G. Ortonio as a hostile witness and to prove the following. Number one, the confidential funds answered to no legitimate confidential purpose. The amount was requested before the supporting plan was produced, and the 2023 plan just repeated the operative language 22 plan. Nauna ang 250 million, sumunod ang plano matapos itong hingin ng DBM. Hindi plano ang nagtakda ng halaga. Ang halaga ang nauna sa kahinabol ng plano. Number two, respondents' handprints are on every document that mattered. Mula request hanggang liquidation, nasa mahalagang dokumento ang kanyang otoridad at pag-aproba. Number 3, the reports were written to fit the rules, not the facts. 4 na ulat, iisang template, mahalagang hindi nagbabago at laging eksaktong 125 million. Not a peso more, not a centavo less. Walang natira, walang isinauli. Number 4, after COA questioned the medical and food aid item, the line disappeared while the report still totaled exactly 125 million. Question ng Commission on Audit ang medical and food aid na may halagang 40 million, 42 million at 40 million sa 3 unang accomplishment reports. Makalipas ang 5 araw, wala na accomplishment report. Pero 125 million pa rin ang kabuuan ng halaga. Number 5, in 2 years, not one area, not one operation was ever named. Daang-daang area ang iniulat, 500 million ang ginastos. Wala ni isang lugar, ni isang operasyon, ni isang petsa ang pinangalanan. Number 6, the liquidation was late, irregular, and backdated. 10 buwan huli ang mga resibo. Mahigit 100 ang may petsa pagkatapos ng di umano'y bayaran. Number 7, the certifications vouched for nothing and were signed by the man who received the money. Walang untoward incident. Iyan lamang ang pinatutunayan. Walang pangalan, walang lugar at walang petsa. At ang pumirma, ang mismong tumanggap ng pera. Number 8, the 500 million bought protection the Vice President already had. And against threats, the AFP and the PF were already paid billions to watch. 473 sundalo at pulis na ang nagbabantay sa kanya. Sahod ng Republika mula sa ibang pondo. Walang pangalawang pangulo sa kasaysayan ang nagkaroon ng ganito. At ang mga bantang tinutukoy sa mga ulat ng NPA at mga teroristang grupo, sakop na ng intelligence funds ng AFP at PNP. Bayad na ang proteksyon, bayad na ang pagbabantay, bago pa ang kahit isang piso ng confidential funds. Number 9, the justification shifted with every finding. Sa DBM, safe implementation ng good governance programs, official engagements, and functional representation ng pangalawang Pangulo. Sa mga plano, confidence building for good governance programs at pagsapit ng 2023 economic program delivery. Sa mga certifications, surveillance and information gathering to prevent untoward incidents from transpiring. Sa protective intelligence operations reports, for intelligence gathering naman. Sa mga sagot sa audit observation memoranda notices or at notice of suspension for surveillance activities to determine where best to implement the OVP's programs. 6 na bersyon, iisang pondo. Number 10, the officials knew, answered nothing. The man who says he knew nothing answered everything. Lahat ng sagot sa COA, pirma ng testigong ito, na ang sabi wala siyang personal na kaalaman. Ang mga tunay na nakakaalam, ang Respondent Vice President, ang Special Disbursing Officer, at ang Colonel, wala ni isang sumagot. Number 11, for the confidential funds are a sham. And the failure to account the funds gives rise to the presumption of misappropriation. Pabago-bago ang paliwanag, walang detalye, walang dokumentong sumusuporta, pagtatakip paliwanag. At hanggang ngayon, hindi na-account ang 500 million ng bayan. Sa ganitong kabiguan, ang batas na mismo ang nagsasalita prima facie na ipinalalagay na ang pondo ay ginamit para sa sariling kapakanan. That would be all for Your Honor.
Comment, Attorney Christine?
Yes, Your Honor. We note that the 11 items that were mentioned by the prosecution are all fact and law, Your Honor. And actually, they are mere speculations and conjectures, Your Honor, not being proven before this honorable court. And they are all theories and, with all due respect, sound bites, Your Honor. Nevertheless, we will cross-examine the witness to verify the allegations or to disprove the allegations of the prosecution.
They may be statements of fact or law, counsel, but that's what they seek to prove. Through this witness, declaring him as a hostile witness in due time. Duly noted. Comment of the counsel for respondents noted. You may proceed with your direct examination, Attorney May.
Your Honor, before I proceed, we would just like to request for a continuing authority for our assisting counsel, Attorney Oliver C. Caido, to approach the witness and present and confront him with the necessary and relevant documents whenever we mention those documents, Your Honor.
Granted, as well as assisting counsel from the respondent, Attorney Christine?
Yes, Your Honor. Attorney David Gola.
And
Granted,
also,
insofar as both parties are concerned in regard to their respective assisting counsels who may approach the witness at any time during the direct and cross.
and also, Your Honor, we request a similar continuing authority for us on the screen the relevant documents when mentioned for the appreciation of this honorable court and of everyone, Your Honor.
Granted likewise, including a similar grant rather with counsel for respondent should she desire to do so as well during her cross.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You
Good
may
morning.
proceed, counsel, when you're ready.
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Ortonio.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Bunta. Good morning.
Naiintindihan ko po na ikaw ngayon ay nagsisilbing Assistant Secretary and Assistant Chief of Staff sa Office of the Vice President. Tama po ba?
That's correct po.
Kailan naman po kayo nagsimulang manungkulan bilang Assistant Secretary and Assistant Chief of Staff sa Office of the Vice President?
I started working as the Assistant Secretary and Assistant Chief of Staff last July 2022.
Okay. Now, Mr. At whose pleasure do you serve those positions?
I report directly to the Vice President, Sara Z. Duterte.
And prior to becoming Assistant Secretary and Assistant Chief of Staff, saan naman po kayo nagtatrabaho kung meron man?
I used to work with the City Government of Davao as the head of the Management Office.
Noong time po na yon na nagsilbi kayo na head ng Human Resource Management, sino naman po ang mayor ng panahong iyon?
The mayor at the time is the Vice President, Sara Z. Duterte.
And when did you serve as head of the Human Resource Department of the City Government of Davao City?
I started working as the head of the Human Resource Management Office in 2018, starting 2018.
And kanino naman po kayo nagre-report nung nanunungkulan kayo bilang head of the Human Resource Department?
As the department head, I report directly to the mayor and as well have reportorial duties to the city administrator.
Okay. And prior to that, Mr. Ortonio, ano naman po ang inyong naging katungkulan kung meron man sa City Government of Davao City?
Prior to being the human resource head, I also headed the Davao City Investment Promotion Center. That's from 2016 all 2018 as well. And then in 2010 to 2013, I served as the Chief of Staff of the Office of the Mayor. And 2008 until 2010, I served as the Chief of Staff under the Office of the Vice Mayor.
Isa-isahin po natin. Nung nanungkulan ho kayo bilang head ng Davao City Investment and Promotion Centers, Senator, sino naman po ang nanunungkulan bilang mayor ng Davao City at that time?
The mayor at the time is Vice President Sara Duterte.
Okay. Dung time naman po na kayo bilang Chief of Staff, sino naman po ang nanunungkulan bilang mayor at the time?
It's the Vice President Sara Z. Duterte.
At huli, nung nanungkulan ho kayo noong 2008 onwards, sino naman po ang nanunungkulan? Or sino naman po ang nanunungkulan bilang Vice Mayor at that time?
The Vice Mayor at the time is Vice President.
Now, prior to 2008, saan ho kayo nanunungkulan o nagtatrabaho kung meron man?
Prior to 2008, I worked with a government-owned and controlled corporation, and I also worked at a local chamber of commerce.
Maaari niyo pong banggitin sa korte na ito kung saan po iyon, yung mga kumpanyang iyon?
My experience was with the Pag-ibig Fund. That was 4 years, and then I worked around about 4 to 6 months with the Davao City Chamber of Commerce.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Antonio, in 2024, ano naman po ang mga compulsory processes, if any, na natanggap ninyo mula sa House Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability?
I was invited to appear before the committee hearings for the Committee on Good Governance.
At sa ano-anong petsa naman po kayo inimbitahan?
As to the exact dates po, ma'am, I cannot remember anymore the exact dates. However, there were several invitations that were extended to me.
Okay, several invitations for several hearings.
Yes, that's correct.
Ano naman po ang naging tugon ninyo dun sa mga iba't na yun?
One of the reasons there was that it's a mere invitation.
I'm sorry, Mr. Antonio, I have to cut you. Please just be responsive so as not to waste this honorable court's time. The question is merely, what was your response to those invitations for you to appear? So what was your response?
The response was, I will not attend the hearings.
Okay, so that was your response. What, if any, judicial remedy did you seek against those invitations?
Sorry, ma'am. When you say judicial, what do you
Judicial relief? Did you ask for injunctive relief against the compulsion or the invitation for you to attend the hearings mentioned in those invitations?
The reason, ma'am, was that it's a mere invitation.
Again, Mr. Antonio, I'm sorry, I don't want to be difficult, but again, I want you to please be just responsive to the question. The question is simply, what judicial relief, if any, did you apply for in response to those invitations?
If I can remember, ma'am, none, ma'am.
Okay. And what was the subject matter of those hearings where you were invited, if you know?
It's regarding the confidential funds.
Okay. Now, Mr. Antonio, your relation with Mr. Ernesto Nemenzo Ortonio Jr., who is the president and a member of the board of directors of PNX Udena Insurance Brokers Incorporated.
Your Honor, please.
Attorney Christine?
Relevance, Your Honor.
It is very much relevant because this would prove that this witness and the respondent move in the same social circle. And this witness can practically become a social pariah if he speaks unfavorably of the respondent.
You're on a short leash, counsel. Go to your point. Objection is overruled.
So, Mr. Ortonio, just to repeat the question, what is your relation with Mr. Ernesto Nemenzo Ortonio Jr., who is the president and a member of the board of directors of PNX Udena Insurance Brokers Incorporated?
He is my father po.
Okay. At ano naman po ang relasyon ng PNX Udena Insurance Broker which forms part of the Udena Group founded and controlled by Mr. Dennis A.
Your Honor, please.
Yes, Attorney.
Again, relevance, Your Honor, to the confidential funds. And she's on short leave.
Your
Attorney
Honor,
May, Attorney
if
May,
I may just
is this
quickly
part
respond.
of trying to qualify Mr. Ortonio as a hostile witness?
Yes, Your Honor. This witness has an adverse interest, Your Honor, in this case.
With your indulgence, as well as with the permission of counsels for the parties, I think it has been established that Mr. Ortonio serves at the pleasure of the Vice President, has been working for her for quite some time, and is serving up to now. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Ortonio.
That's
with
correct,
the Vice
Your
President.
Honor.
And that if the Vice President is impeached and therefore removed from office, pati kayo matatanggal po, di ba? Dahil coterminous kayo.
Correct, Your Honor.
And that as far as we know, until today, you are still working with the Office of the Vice President and serving under that capacity, coterminous.
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
To abbreviate the proceedings, the court declares Mr. Ortonio as a hostile witness based on his adverse vis-a-vis the respondent and the prosecution, and that therefore counsel Attorney May can ask leading questions, but again, pursuant to the rules, may not ask misleading questions. You may proceed, ma'am, accordingly.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Ortonio, I am showing you a video footage of the hearing of the CGGPA on November 25, 2020. May I request, Your Honor, our assisting counsel who is stationed at the technical booth to play the said video footage.
Continuing to counsels. You may proceed accordingly, counsel.
Office of the Vice President. Mr. Lemuel G. Artoy, the Secretary and Assistant Chief of Staff. Ms. Winnie G. Diego, Chief of Public Assistance.
Okay. Mr. Ortonio, ano ang relasyon mo sa Lemuel G. Ortonio na nabanggit sa video na aming pinakita?
That's me po, ma'am.
Okay. At ano naman, at tama ba, kinukumpirma mo ba na ang dyan sa video footage na yan ay ang hearing ng CGGPA noong November 25, 2024?
That's correct po.
At Mr. Ortonio, maaalala mo ba na sa hearing na yan, sinabi mo, and I quote, you provide overall supervision for the internal affairs of the Office of the Vice President, end of quote.
That's correct po.
Napatutuhanan mo rin ba na kasama ng supervision na yan, ang supervision sa Administrative and Financial Services Office at Strategy Management Office ng Office of the Vice President?
That's correct po.
Okay. Ngayon, Mr. Ortonio, tama bang sabihin ng Financial Services Office, ito ang opisina sa Office of the Vice President na in charge sa pangkalahatang budget ng OVP?
That's correct po.
Kasama dito ang budget preparation,
That's correct.
budget disbursement, accounting, at liquidation.
That's correct.
And since you exercise supervision over this office, tama bang sabihin, or generally, walang pondo ng OVP ang hinihiling, nilalabas, ginagastos, o inililiquidate na wala sa inyong kaalaman at supervision? Tama ba? Generally, Mr. Ortonio.
Generally, yes.
Okay. Ngayon, ang Strategy Management Office naman, ito ang tanggapan ng OVP na sa strategic planning, management, monitoring, evaluation, organizational development, at iba pang kaugnayan ng tungkuling pamamahala ng OVP. Tama ba?
That's correct.
So kasama dito ang pagbuo at pagsubaybay sa mga programa, proyekto at aktibidad ng OVP. Tama ba?
That's correct.
Dahil sa iyong pag-amin, tama rin bang sabihin na bawat programa ng OVP ay dumadaan sa SMO?
For all the activities.
Yes. At dahil kayo ang nagsusuperbisa sa SMO, kayo rin ang nagsusuperbisa sa mga programa, proyekto at aktibidad nito. Tama ba?
General supervision.
In short, or sa madaling salita, bawat programa ng OVP ay dumadaan sa inyong supervision ng 2 beses. Una, kapag ito ay pinaplano ng SMO, at pangalawa, kapag binabayaran ito ng AFSO. Tama ba?
Yes po.
At tama rin bang sabihin na ang mga direktor ng 2 opisinang ito ay nag-uulat din sa iyo? Tama ba?
That's correct po.
Also, tama rin bang sabihin na ang Vice President mismo ang nagtalaga sa inyo ng supervision over these 2 offices?
Yes, that's correct as part of the organizational structure.
Okay. At tama rin bang sabihin na kaugnay ng inyong supervision sa SMO at AFSO, ang anumang direktibang natatanggap ninyo ay sa huli President?
That's correct.
Okay. At tama rin ba na sa pagganap ng inyong mga tungkulin, sa huli kayo ay nasasaklawan ng mga direksyon at instruction ng Vice President?
That's correct.
In short, the official acts that you perform in the discharge of those responsibilities are done pursuant to the authority vested in you by the Vice President.
That's correct.
Now, pumunta na Mr. Ortonio sa sulat kung saan nagsimula ang lahat. Okay, so Mr. Ortonio, you assumed your position you mentioned earlier as Assistant Secretary and Assistant Chief of Staff noon lamang July 1, 2022. Tama ba?
That's correct.
So that was mid-year.
Yes.
And you will confirm na ang inyong position around that time, walang confidential fund ang Office of the Vice President. Tama ba?
That's correct po.
Which means na yung successor ni Vice President Sara Duterte na si Vice President Leni G. Robredo, walang confidential funds.
Your Honor, please.
Yes, Attorney.
And conclusion of fact.
Kindly clarify, Lenny is not the successor counsel.
Sorry, predecessor, Your Honor. I'm
Exactly. So, kindly reform counsel.
Mr. Ortonio, do you confirm that Vice President Sara Duterte's predecessor, former Vice President Leni G. Ortonio, Leni Robredo, Your Honor, Leni Robredo, she did not have confidential funds?
Your Honor, please.
Yes, counsel.
Incompetent. He's not a staff of Leni Robredo.
If he knows, if you know, Mr. Ortonio, you may answer. If you don't, you may answer so as well.
Based on the records that we have, there's no record of confidential funds.
Ito ang dahilan kung bakit humiling ng confidential funds ang OVP sa DBM. Tama ba? Noong 2020. Dahil wala kayong dinatnan na confidential funds ng pag-upo mo kasama ng pag-upo ng Vice President Sara Duterte. Tama ba?
Yes, ma'am.
And this request for confidential funds, ipinaabot ito sa DBM sa pamamagitan ng isang sulat. Tama ba?
Letter request.
Yes, letter request. Ngayon, I'm showing you Prosecution's Exhibit P-A dated August 22, 2022. Ito ang nabanggit mong letter request for confidential funds in 2022. Tama ba, Mr. Ortonio?
Yes, correct.
Sa huling pahina nitong sulat na ito, there appears a signature above the printed name, Sara Z. You will confirm that this is the signature of the Vice President.
Yes, I can confirm that this is the signature of the Vice President.
And you're familiar with her signature, familiar ka sa signature niya dahil sa panunungkulan mo over almost 2 decades with her or under her, nakikita mo siyang pumirma ng mga dokumento at nakikita mo rin ang kanyang pirma sa iba't ibang dokumento. Tama ba?
Yes, that's correct.
And on the basis of this letter bearing her, tama bang sabihin na ang desisyon na mag-request ng confidential funds, it was the decision of the Vice President. Tama ba?
Yes, that's correct.
And throughout these proceedings, a certain name has been repeatedly mentioned, paulit-ulit na nabanggit, si Colonel La Chica. Tama?
Yes, I know him. He's the
Okay.
group commander for VPSPG.
You mentioned group commander of the SPG, but you will confirm, Mr. Ortonio, kukumpirmahin nyo na nung Agosto 22, 2022, hindi pa naitatalaga si Colonel La Chica bilang security officer ng OVP. Tama ba?
Yes,
Yes.
that's correct.
Okay. Yes, in fact, he started only on September 1, 2022. Tama ba?
Yes, based on documents.
Okay. Let us now go to the September 16, 2022 letter. Yan ang nagpapatunay, Mr. Ortonio, na si Mr. La Chica or si Colonel La Chica ay noon lamang September 16 itinalaga bilang commander ng VPSP.
Yes, that's... Wait, hindi masyado clear po.
Your Honor, may we request our assisting counsel in the tech booth to kindly enlarge.
Granted, so instructed.
Copies of the documents being flashed on the screen.
Sir, what's the question again, ma'am?
Etong sa letter na ito, pinapatotohanan nito na si Colonel La Chica ay inappoint lamang o itinalaga lamang bilang commander ng VPSPG noon lamang September 16, 2022. Tama ba?
Yes, for... Ma'am, I think the memorandum is the designation of Colonel La Chica as
security officer.
security
Yes,
officer.
security officer.
Sir, based on the document, yes.
Now, balik tayo dun sa letter dated August 22, 2022. Dito sa letter na to, you will confirm that the OVP requested 4 items. 1, augmentation of financial assistance and subsidy. 2, augmentation of special duty allowance. 3, additional 192 co-terminus and contractual positions. And tama ba?
Correct, for the 4 items.
And you will also confirm that at the time this document was sent to the DBM, nung ihinihanda ang liham na ito at pinadala sa DBM, na iplano na ng OVP ang mga aktibidad nito para sa nalalabing bahagi ng 2022. Tama ba?
That's correct.
That's correct. Sa katunayan, para sa unang 3 kahilingan, OVP ng basihan ng mga hiling na halaga. Nakalagay dito ang computation kung paano nakuha ang halagang hinihiling. Tama ba?
That's correct.
That is for the first 3 requests, the augmentation of financial assistance and subsidy, augmentation of special duty allowance, and additional 192 co-terminus and contractual positions. And dahil rin na activities, programs, and plans ng OVP ng time na yan, nakapaglakip na rin kayo ng supporting documents for the first 3 requests. Tama ba?
Yes, that's
Pati
correct.
yung projections, mga relevant projections for these 3 requests.
That's correct.
But, Mr. Ortonio, kinukumpirma mo rin na for the OVP's request for in this letter, walang computation na binigay. Tama ba?
There
For that,
was-
let's limit the answer to the letter. In that letter, no computation was provided. Tama ba?
That's correct. No
There was
computation.
also no projection provided in the same letter. Tama ba?
Yes, that's correct.
And also, there was no physical and financial plan attached to the letter.
Request
Yes,
none.
none. In fact, there was no attachment supporting the OVP's request for confidential funds. Correct?
There were no attachments, ma'am.
Yes, there were no attachments in support of your request for confidential funds. Tama? Okay.
Mr. Ortonio? What's your response?
Yes, that's
And tama rin bang sabihin na ultimately, ang nag-decide kung magkano ang hihiningin na confidential funds from the DBM ay si Vice President Sara Duterte. Tama ba?
yes. The determination
Yes.
for the amount
Thank you,
is
Mr.
in the
Ortonio.
discretion of the Vice President.
Yes, thank you. Now, going back to the letter, dahil wala kayong binigay na computation, projection, or supporting documents, ang tanging nilagay lamang ninyo sa request ay ang explanation kung bakit kayo humihingi ng request. Tama ba?
That's
Yes,
correct.
That's correct. And the explanation that you gave was, and I quote, for and in consideration of the safe implementation of the various projects and activities under the Good Governance Program and the conduct of official engagements and functional representation in international and domestic events as instructed by the Vice President. End of quote. Tama ba?
Yes, as instructed by
By the
the
Vice
President.
As instructed by the President. Okay. In that same letter, you also stated, and I quote, you committed to formulate programs, projects, and activities relevant to national security and peace and order, and is devoted to implement said PPAs, security, and safety protocols for the benefit of the institution through the OVP satellite offices, its partner stakeholders, and the general public, end of quote. Tama ba?
That's correct.
So at this point, Mr. Ortonio, tama ba?
With the permission of counsel, can you ask your guy in the tech booth to kindly, whenever you refer to a portion of the letter, to zoom it in so that it's readable part of the senator judges, because we really cannot read any part of it. Better. Thank you. You may proceed, counsel.
Okay. So tama ba, Mr. Ortonio, na sabihin na nang pinadala ninyo ang sulat na ito, ang OVP, wala pang programs, projects, and activities na na-identify relevant to national security and peace and order? Tama ba? Dahil sabi, you just commit to formulate programs, projects, and activities relevant to national security and peace and order. So at that point, wala pa. Tama ba?
Based on the letter, ma'am,
yes.
there is a commitment to submit the
Yes.
plans and programs.
No, Mr. Tonyo, walang sinasabi dito na you commit to submit plans and programs. Ang sinasabi dito,
To formulate.
programs, projects, and
Correct.
And this is despite the fact na kanina inamin mo na nung pinadala niyo yung letter na to, more or less, na-identify niyo na yung mga plans, projects, and activities of the OVP for the remainder of 2022. Tama ba?
Yes.
Yes.
For the plans and
Please
programs.
just answer the question.
Your Honor, please. The witnesses.
Yes,
Your Honor,
counsel,
if
counsel
I
let
may,
the
Your
witness answer. He was in the process of answering it. Let's see if it is responsive or not. It can be stricken off if it's not. Yes, Mr. Tonyo.
Thank you, Your Honor. In the context of the plans and programs of the office, there has already been plans already at the beginning of the term of the Vice President in July of 2022. That's why we were able to implement already several programs and implementing for the rest of the year and for the rest of the term.
But just to clarify, with respect to those plans, programs, and activities relating to national security and peace and order, ito yung ifo-formulate nyo pa lang when you sent out this letter because that is what stated in the letter. Tama ba?
That's correct.
That's correct. And you will also confirm na wala nang ibang letter request for confidential funds in August 2022. And dahil wala pang plans and physical and financial plan na nakalakip dun sa letter nyo ng August 22, 2022, sumulat sa OVP ang DBM requesting your office to submit this physical and financial plan in support of your request for confidential funds.
That's correct.
And the Vice President instructed you, inutusan ka o inatasan ka ng Vice President na sumagot sa letter na ito ng DBM dated September 15, 2022. I'm referring to Prosecution's Exhibit P-I-4-B.
Yes, we are in receipt of this communication.
At ikaw ang inatasan ng Vice President na sumagot sa letter na yan. Tama ba?
As part of my duties as the Assistant Chief of Staff, I regularly respond to communication addressed to the office.
Okay. But the Vice knew very well that it was you who was responding to that letter of the DBM, correct?
Yes, because as
Okay.
part of my
Yes.
duties po.
And hindi niya naman inassign o inata sa iba. Nang nalaman niya na ikaw ang sasagot, hinayaan ka niya at hindi niya sinabing iba na lang ang sumagot. Tama?
For regular communications within the office, it is the Assistant Chief of Staff who signs the documents corresponding to other agencies. So
Okay.
it's already inherent to the function as the Assistant Chief of Staff.
Yes, Mr. Ortonio. But that is ultimately subject to the decision and discretion of the Vice President. Tama ba?
That's correct.
So, yan ay subject sa discretion ng Vice President. Anytime, the Vice President can revoke that authority. Tama ba?
Yes.
Now, following that instruction, you wrote a letter to DBM dated September 19, 2022. Tama ba? I'm referring to Prosecution Exhibit P-I-4-C.
Showing the witness, Attorney May, the August 22, 2022 letter, what's the exhibit marking of that document, if any? For the record.
Sorry, Your Honor. P-I-4-A.
P-I-4-. Thank you. Witness may answer pertaining to the September 19, 2022 letter, if you're aware of it.
Yes, I signed this transmittal letter to the DBM.
And in that letter, Circular 2015-01. Tama ba?
Yes.
So you must be familiar with that joint circular. Tama ba?
I'm familiar
Yes.
to a certain extent.
To a certain extent. At iyak binasa at naunawaan nyo rin ito. Tama ba?
Yes.
Yes. Because, Mr. Ortonio, you're an intelligent witness. You graduated with a bachelor's degree in arts in Ateneo de Davao University. Tama ba?
Communication arts.
Communication arts. You also have a master's in development program from the University of
Yes, development communication.
Development Communication. And another master's of arts in psychology, is that correct? From
Yes.
Southville International School and Colleges.
That's correct.
And the diploma course from the Ateneo de Manila Center for Organization, Research and Development.
That's correct.
In fact, you worked as a professor, nagturo ka sa Ateneo de Davao University. Tama ba?
Yes, only.
Now, going back to the letter, in that same letter, ipinadala nyo sa DBM ang physical and financial plan. Tama ba?
Yes, that's correct.
And that was the first time. Yan yung unang pagkakataon na nag-submit kayo ng physical and financial plan sa DBM in support of your request for confidential funds. Tama ba?
Yes.
And also, of course, bago nyo isinubmit ang kopya ng physical and financial plan na yan, I'm sure, tiningnan at binasa nyo at inintindi nyo yung physical and financial plan. Tama ba?
Yes, I read the PFP.
Your Honor, we would like to confront a witness with the financial plan dated, bearing the date September 16, 2022, which is Prosecution's Exhibit P-I-4-A. Annex A. So this is an attachment to Exhibit P-I-4-A as Annex. Okay, Mr. Antonio, dito sa box na may nakasulat, prepared by, may kasama ring petsa, September 16, 2022. Tama bang sabihin na itong September 16, 2022, ito yung date kung kailan na-prepare itong physical and financial plan?
Based on the document, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Ibig sabihin, nung nag-request kayo ng confidential fund in August 2022, wala pang nape-prepare na physical and financial plan. Tama ba?
Yes.
The financial plan was also approved only on September 16, 2022, as shown by the box bearing that date with the printed words approved by. Tama ba?
Yes, based on the document.
Based on the
ma'am, yes.
document. At dyan sa box na may nakasulat na approved by, may pirma ulit. Above the printed name, Sara Duterte. Ano yung pirma ng Vice President? Siya mismo ang pumirma niyan. Tama ba?
Yes, that's her signature, ma'am.
At dahil walang naka-countersign katabi ng kanyang signature, tama ba na yung dokumento na yan went straight to her without yourself or anyone reviewing that for her? Tama ba?
I can just personally say, ma'am, that the document, ma'am, did not pass through my office.
Okay.
Before you continue, counsel, the court noticed that the signature of the Vice President in this document appears to be different from the signature in the August 22 document. So the Vice President has at least two signatures so far. And you confirm that both are her signatures?
Yes, I can confirm, sir, Your Honor, that both are the signatures of the Vice President.
You can confirm likewise that they appear to be different, though?
Yes.
Thank you. Your witness, counsel.
So you confirm, Mr. Antonio, that this physical and financial plan was approved matapos ang 25 days from your request of confidential funds to the DBM. Tama ba?
Sorry, can you repeat again the question, ma'am?
The physical and financial plan that was prepared 20 days after you requested confidential funds from the DBM.
I believe, ma'am, parang 20 days, ma'am, because the request was in August 2022, ma'am. More or less. Yes, that's correct. Correct. Yes.
And dahil nabanggit mo yung now, the physical and financial plan indicated PPAs for which the confidential fund was allotted. Tama ba?
Yes, that's correct, based on the document, ma'am.
At ang nakasaad dito ay good governance program. Tama ba?
Yes,
There
that's
was
correct.
no itemization of the programs and activities that will be funded by the requested confidential funds. Tama ba?
Yes, ma'am, based on the document
Yes.
presented.
And you will confirm this good governance program, it's not just one particular program of the OVP. Tama ba?
Yes.
It is in fact, at kukumpirmahin nyo, na itong good governance program, ito ay umbrella program or umbrella brand ng flagship activities ng OVP. Tama ba?
Yes, that's
So
correct.
under that good governance program, merong mga particular programs and activities. Tama ba?
Yes.
Kasama dito yung medical assistance, burial assistance, libreng sakay, mga satellite offices. Tama ba?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And subalit, wala nitong mga particular na activities na ito na isinaad sa physical and financial plan na inyong sinabit. Tama ba?
Yes, based on the submitted PFP.
We'll also confirm na itong flagship program na good governance program, ito ay pinupondohan na ng regular budget ng OVP sa ilalim ng General Appropriations Act. Tama ba?
Yes.
Okay. Sa katunayan, sa 2022 GAA, may line item na 621.6 million na mismong para sa good governance engagements and social service projects. Tama ba?
Again, hindi ko lang po makita yung...
Maybe kindly request the tech booth to enlarge the image being flashed on the screen.
Yes, correct. 621 million.
Kanina, binasa ninyo na sa liham ng August 20, kasama bilang explanation para sa paghingi nyo ng confidential funds ang two other purposes. Ito yung official engagements at functional representation in international and domestic events. Tama ba? Naalala ninyo?
Yes, that's included in the letter request.
Subalit sa physical and financial plan, quarter ng 2022, tinanggal na itong dalawang additional items na to. Tama ba? Natira na lamang yung good governance program.
Based on the document, ma'am, that was submitted.
At ang dahilan nito, you will confirm na itong dalawang programs nito, hindi to allowed under the joint circular that you cited in your September 19, 2022 letter. Tama ba?
As to the, for these two items, ma'am, I cannot answer.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Now, punta naman tayo sa 2023 Fiscal and Financial Plan. You will confirm na bilang Assistant Secretary at Assistant Chief of Staff ng OVP, pamilyar din kayo dito sa 2023 Fiscal and Financial Plan.
I was able to see it, ma'am.
In fact, isa sa mga signatories dito sa Fiscal and Financial Plan na ito ay si Ms. Rosalyn Sanchez. Tama ba? Again, may we request the tech booth to enlarge the document being flashed on the screen.
Yes, ma'am. Correct.
At itong si Ms. Rosalyn Sanchez, siya naman ang director ng AFSO.
Yes.
Nasabi mo, nagre-report din sa'yo. Tama
Directly
ba?
to me,
Okay.
yes.
Now, going back to that fiscal and financial plan, you will confirm that the expected outcome, fiscal targets, budget for the 4 quarters of 2023 na sinulat dito are just verbatim reproductions of the expected outcome, fiscal targets, and budget in the 2022 plans. In short, yung expected outcome, fiscal targets, at budget para sa 4 na quarter na nakasaad dito sa 2023 Fiscal and Financial Plan, salitang kinopya ang expected outcome, fiscal targets, at budget sa 2022 Fiscal and Financial Plans. Tama ba?
Based on the document, ma'am, it
Yes.
has the same content, ma'am.
Ang tanging pagkakaiba lamang ay physical activities and projects. Dito sa 2023 Fiscal and Financial Plan ang nakasaad na PPA ay socio-economic program and delivery. Tama ba?
Yes, that's
But you will
correct.
also confirm that like the good governance program, yung socio-economic program delivery, hindi rin ito isang partikular na programa. This is just an umbrella brand for the flagship program for 2023. Tama ba?
Yes, that's correct.
Sa ilalim niyan, merong mga particular din na programa, individual and particular projects. Tama ba?
Yes, that's correct.
Ngunit wala kahit anuman dito sa mga particular programs na ito ang isinaad nyo o nilagay nyo sa Fiscal and Financial Plan of 2023. Tama ba?
Based on the documents that's presented.
Yes. At tulad ng 2022 Fiscal and Financial Plan, etong 2023 Fiscal and Financial Plan ay personal ding inaprubahan ng Vice President. Tama ba?
Yes, it has the signature of the Vice President.
And again, dahil walang counter-signature sa katabi ng kanyang pangalan, tama rin bang sabihin na hindi rin ito dumaan sa inyong opisina?
No.
But generally, Mr. Ortonio, dahil kayo nga yung nangangasiwa or nag-exercise ng general supervision over the SMO as well as the AFSO, generally, walang documents ng OVP na hindi dumadaan sa office niya. Tama ba?
Generally po, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, now pumunta na tayo sa disbursement voucher. Okay, Mr. Ortonio, dahil ikaw ay naging kawanina ng gobyerno for almost 2 decades, you would know na walang pondo ng publiko or pera ng bayan ang maaaring bayaran maliban kung suportado ng disbursement voucher.
Yes, that's correct.
Ang voucher, in short, ang voucher ang unang pinoproseso bago maaring gumuhit ng anumang cheque involving public funds. Tama ba?
That's correct.
Now, Mr. Ortonio, I am showing you 4 disbursement vouchers, which are prosecution's exhibit P-I-10-A, P-I-10-B, P-I-C, P-I-10-D. You are familiar with these disbursement vouchers, correct? Familiar ka sa mga disbursement vouchers na to?
Yes, I am.
In fact, nakapirma ka sa lahat ng disbursement vouchers na yan. Tama ba?
Yes, based on the authorization of our office order.
At ang inyong pangalan ay nakapatong at nakalimbag sa salitang agency head or authorized representative. Tama ba? Ang agency head na tinutukoy dito ay walang iba kundi si Vice President Duterte. Tama ba?
Yes, that's correct.
Ang ibig sabihin, lumalagda ka sa bisa ng otoridad or on the strength of the authority that you were given by the Vice President. Tama ba?
Yes, based on an office order.
Yes. At ultimately, ang otoridad na yan na lumagda bilang kanyang kinatawan or authorized representative ay nagmula mismo sa Vice Presidente. Tama ba?
Yes.
Ngayon, ang inyong lagda ay nasa loob ng kahong approved for payment. You will
Yes.
confirm ang ibig ng paglagda ninyo or sa paglagda ninyo, inaprubahan ninyo ang pagbayad or pag-withdraw ng confidential funds para sa 2022 at 2023. Tama ba?
Yes, that's correct.
At dahil lumagda kayo bilang authorized representative ng Vice President, ang pag-aproba mong iyon ay ibinigay din sa bisa ng otoridad ng Vice President. Tama ba?
Yes, isang office order.
Okay. So in short, it is as if it was the Vice President herself who was giving that approval to release those funds referred to in those disbursement vouchers. Tama ba?
As authorized po.
As authorized, yes. So, in short, Vice President nga, in short, Vice President approved the release of those. Effectively, the Vice President approved the release of the funds referred to in those disbursement vouchers.
Your Honor,
Tama ba?
Your Honor, please, ask and answered already. As
Your Honor,
authorized.
the reason I have to make a follow-up question is that the answer of this witness was not responsive. I was asking whether it meant effectively that the Vice President herself approved the release of the funds referred to in that disbursement voucher. But the answer of the respondent was that it was authorized by categorical statement, Your Honor, from this witness.
I'll allow it in the meantime, counsel. Witness may answer.
Yes po, as authorized po. Yes.
Kung gayon, or in other words, kung wala ang pag-aproba ng Vice President sa mga disbursement vouchers na to, wala ring confidential labas. Tama ba?
Sorry again,
Kung
can you
walang-
repeat the question po?
Kung walang approval ng Vice President sa mga disbursement vouchers na to, wala ring confidential funds na mailalabas dahil ang funds or ang pondong pinapatukoy yan dito ay ang confidential funds for 2022 and 2023. Tama ba?
If there is no approval po, there is no release
No
of
release.
funds.
Okay, thank you.
With the indulgence of counsel, Mr. Tonyo, yung approved for payment nyo is in item or letter D.
Yes.
Do you have the document in front of you?
Yes, sir.
Yung letter A, certified expense cash advance necessary, lawful, and incurred under my direct supervision is signed by the Vice President.
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
What does that mean?
It means that it is being
Pagpirma ng Vice President dyan sa box na yan.
the Vice President certifies that the funds is made under her supervision.
And hindi ka pipirma, ano ba to? Sequence ba to? A, B, C, D? Pag
Yes.
walang pirma si A, walang pirma si B, hindi mo na pipirma si C, hindi ka pipirma.
Yes, that's correct. It's
So
in
ikaw yung
sequence.
huling-huling pumirma
Yes, that's
sa
correct.
dokumentong ito ng disbursement voucher.
Yes, Your Honor.
Proceed, Counsel.
Let's now go to the 4 checks. Okay, ang bawat isa sa 4 na disbursement vouchers na iyong inaprubahan, which you identified earlier, ito ay nagresulta sa pagguhit ng katumbas na cheque ng Land Bank. Tama ba? It resulted in the drawing of 4 Land Bank checks corresponding to the funds referred to in the disbursement vouchers.
Correct.
I am showing you the 4 checks, which are Prosecution's Exhibit P-28-A, P-I-28-B, P-I-28-C, P-I-28-B. B. You are familiar with these checks, tama ba?
Yes, ma'am, I'm familiar with the checks being presented.
In fact, yung pirma mo, makikita dyan sa mga cheque niyan. Ikaw ay pumirma na cheque. Tama ba?
Yes, as part of my duties as the Assistant Chief of Staff.
In fact, merong office order na nagtatalaga sa'yo bilang signatory para sa mga cheque na may halagang more than 1 million pesos. Tama ba?
Yes, that's correct.
At ang order na yon ay nanggaling din kay Vice President Sara Duterte. Tama ba?
Yes, the office order President.
Signed by her and thus approved by her. Tama ba?
Yes.
Ngayon, you will confirm na kasama ka sa pag-encash ng mga checking ito. Tama ba?
Yes, I can confirm.
In fact, ikaw lang ang kasama Miss Gina Acosta ng i-encash mismo ito sa Land Bank Shaw Boulevard branch. Tama ba?
Yes, when she requested me to accompany her.
Okay. So you must be familiar with the Land Bank Shaw Boulevard branch.
Yes.
At ito, Land Bank Shaw Boulevard branch ay matatagpuan sa Beacon Plaza, Shaw Boulevard, kanto ng Ideal Street, Mandaluyong City. Tama ba?
Yes, that's
Na ipinapakita ko sa iyo ang isang litrato. Your Honor, may we request the tech booth to flash the photo on the screen.
Instructed.
Mr. Antonio, you've been to this branch several times, tama ba? The
Yes.
Land Bank branch. And you will confirm na yung litratong pinapakita sa iyo sa screen, yan ang Land Bank Shaw Boulevard branch.
The Land Bank Shaw Boulevard branch, ma'am, is within that building, ma'am.
Within that building. And you will confirm na yung sasakyan hindi maaaring pumasok that area kung saan nakikita ang mga kotse. Tama ba?
Yes po, there's a parking lot
Yes.
in
And
front
from
of
there,
the compound.
kakailanganin na ninyong maglakad para makapunta sa Land Bank branch mismo. Tama ba?
Yes.
And just to clarify, Mr. Ortonio, in all 4 instances of encashment, sa 4 na encashment ng 4 na cheque, ikaw lamang ang kasama ni Miss Gina Acosta na mag-encash at mag-withdraw ng pondo.
That's correct.
And ito rin ay nagmumula sa instruction ng Vice President. Tama ba?
Yung pag-accompany ko po kay Miss Gina, it's based on the request of Miss Gina po.
Okay. But you will confirm na alam ito ng Vice President.
When Vice President, yung pagsama ko po.
Yes.
That I cannot confirm, ma'am, if Miss Gina was able to inform the Vice President.
Pero yung withdrawal, that was also upon the instruction. Tama ba?
When you say withdrawal,
Withdrawal of the checks. Or the encashment itself.
I would assume, ma'am, na
Alam.
Miss Gina has informed the Vice President yung pag-encash niya. But as to if
Of course.
I'm accompanying
Yes.
her, I'm not sure, ma'am.
Okay. But, and the encashment was within the knowledge of the Vice President. Because in fact,
Asked
you
and
know,
answered, Your Honor.
this is a different question now, Your Honor.
Finish your question, Counsel.
In fact, Mr. Ortonio, you will confirm that lahat ng nangyayari patungkol sa confidential funds, nire-report ito sa Vice Presidente. Tama ba?
Again,
Vague, Your Objection.
Kindly reform and be more specific, Counsel. Are you just asking about the fact that Mr. Ortonio accompanied Gina on all 4 occasions? Kung alam ng BCN?
No, Your Honor, I'm referring to all matters pertaining to the confidential funds.
Vague,
These
Your
are reported to the Vice President and reported to and or instructed by the Vice President.
Then that would be vague, Counsel. Kindly be more specific. Kasi dininay niya na kanina kung he doesn't know if the Vice President knew that he would accompany Gina. Kindly be more specific. You can ask the witness. He's intelligent enough. Ask him specific questions, Counsel.
I will park that for now, Your Honor. I will
You
go
can
back
move
to
on
that.
then.
Okay. Now let's go to the audit observation memoranda, Mr. Antonio. You will confirm that you are familiar with this audit observation memoranda. I'm referring
Yes.
to Prosecution's Exhibit P-I-12-B, P-I-12-A, P-I-12-E, P-I-I.
Yes, I'm familiar with the document, ma'am.
Okay.
For the record, witness was confronted with the 3 documents.
Okay. Mr. Artonio, you are familiar with this audit observation memoranda dahil ikaw ay binigyan ng kopya ng mga ito. Correct?
Yes, that's correct. I
In
received
fact-
on behalf of the Vice President.
You've received President. In fact, lumagda ka dyan bilang patunay ng iyong pagtanggap sa mga audit observation memoranda na iyong tinitingnan ngayon. Tama ba?
Yes, that's correct.
At kayo rin ang inatasang sumagot ng audit observation na memoranda na yan ng Vice Presidente. Tama ba?
Yes, I was given instructions to prepare the draft.
Given instructions by the Vice President herself.
Yes.
Tama ba?
Yes.
And is it also correct to say na bago kayo tumugon sa mga audit observation memoranda na yan, sinuri at pinag-aralan din ninyo ang mga liquidation report na kalakip dito?
I consulted with the Special Disbursing Officer and the Security Officer on the information that will be included in the reply.
So you also studied, you also checked, reviewed those liquidation reports that were attached to the, that were referred to in that audit observation memoranda. Tama ba?
Ma'am, I only consulted the Special Disbursing Officer and the Security Officer on the information that will be in the reply.
So you are saying, hindi mo nakita ang liquidation report, umasa ka lamang sa kung anong nireport sa inyo ng Special Disbursing Officer at ng Security Officer?
Yes, I got the information from them, ma'am.
Okay. How about the certification and accomplishment reports? Of course, you saw these documents because in fact, you would be referring later to these documents in your reply to the audit of. Tama ba?
I was able to see the reports, ma'am, but I did not anymore go into details, ma'am. And then that was made as an attachment to the replies, ma'am.
Okay. Just a clarification. Yung sa liquidation report, you also saw those liquidation reports. Tama ba?
At the time, ma'am, I was able to see the liquidation reports,
Okay.
ma'am.
Since you saw those liquidation reports, you must have also seen that in those personal din na nilagdaan ng Vice Presidente ang mga liquidation reports na yun. Tama ba?
Your Honor, the question is vague. Counsel should refer to the particular report, Your Honor.
Kindly show the document, the liquidation
Honor.
reports you're referring to, counsel, so that the witness may be able to look at it.
Your Honor, I am referring to...
The 4 liquidation reports, I presume.
Yes, Your Honor. Prosecution's exhibits P-I-9-A to P-I-9-D.
At the time, ma'am, I was able to just see it, ma'am, physically, but I was not able to review it, ma'am.
Okay, but you will confirm that that those liquidation reports all were signed by the Vice President, correct?
Yes, based on the document, ma'am, it has the signature of the Vice President.
Let's go to the certifications attached to the liquidation reports. which are prosecution's Exhibit P-I-6-A to P-I-6-D again. Can you please kindly refer to the certification? In the meantime, park that question for now and go to the next question. So let's go to the accomplishment reports, Mr. Ortonio. Since you mentioned, you also see these documents, you will also confirm na itong mga accomplishment reports na ito, lahat inaprubahan din ng Vice Presidente. I'm referring to Exhibits P-I-7-A- to P-I-7-D.
Kindly show the witness, counsel. Assisting counsel may approach.
I was able to see, ma'am, but I did not scrutinize anymore, ma'am.
You did not scrutinize. But you will confirm that the signature of the Vice President appear in those documents, since earlier you admitted na pamilyar ka sa signature ng Vice President.
Yes.
Kanina, nabanggit mo, if you can just backtrack a bit, na nakipag-coordinate ka sa security officer at sa special disbursing officer.
Yes.
Tama rin ba na sabihin na nag-coordinate ka with them upon the instructions of the Vice President? Tama ba?
Yes, there was an instruction to coordinate so that we can properly reply to the AOM.
Okay. Let us go back to report number 2022-12-152, which is Prosecution's Exhibit P-I-9-A. And you will confirm that based on this document, ang buong 125 million na confidential funds ay lubusang naubos pagsapit ng December 31. Tama ba?
Yes, based on the document, ma'am, based on the liquidation report.
And since in-encash nyo ang mga cheque or ang cheque pertaining to this fund, confidential fund, noon lamang December 20, 2022, tama bang sabihin na yung pondo ay na-disburse sa loob lamang ng 11 days? Tama ba?
That, ma'am, I cannot
Based on this document.
If you base on the document, there's a liquidation of the cash advance for the period of December 21 to 31.
And that would be 10 days.
If you base it here, ma'am, that's December 21 to 31.
Yes. Okay. So a good 10 days.
Your Honor, please. The document speaks for itself.
Your Honor, I believe counsel is referring to the original documents rule. Unfortunately for her, Your Honor, that's an improper invocation of the original documents rule. The original documents rule does not bar questions relating to the document. What it simply prohibits is the substitution of the testimony of the witness for the document without producing the original of said document. The original of this document was presented to this honorable court as early as the pre-trial conference of this case, Your Honor.
We will allow it subject to the parameters that they cannot change what's contained in the document, but he may
Your
be
Honor.
questioned with respect to his understanding and appreciation of the document. Yes,
Your Honor,
Attorney
quick
Cristina?
reply. Because the witness was asked document, Your Honor, and the contents of the document.
I wasn't asking, Your Honor. It's by simple arithmetic,
No,
Your
Your
Honor.
Honor. She was referring to the contents of the
With all due
document.
respect, Your Honor, if I can just make a brief reply to the manifestation, Your Honor.
Yes, counsel, briefly.
Yes, I wasn't asking, Your Honor, this witness to interpret the document by simple arithmetic, Your Honor. This witness can easily come up with a number of days within which, and just by looking at the document, this witness can easily come up and say the number of days within which the 125 million was spent and disbursed, Your Honor.
As long as the document is not going to be changed, I will allow it. Witness, if you know, again, you are well educated to be able to answer the simple question. If you know.
Again, Mr. Ortonio, you will confirm number 2 in that liquidation document was fully disbursed within a good 10 days because you said the disbursement covers the period December 21 to December 31, 2022. Tama ba?
Based on computation, ma'am, it's actually 11
Sorry,
days.
11 days.
Based on the computation and based on the document, ma'am, it's
11 days.
It will reflect 11 days.
Correct. Ito ay sa kabila ng fact na sa ilalim ng PFP, ang pondo ay para sa buong ika-4 na quarter ng 2022. Tama ba?
It's for the fourth quarter of 2020.
That fourth quarter of 2022 means October, November, the period October, November, December of 2022. Tama ba?
For fourth quarter, ma'am, that covers for October, November, and December.
Yeah, October, November, and December 2022. Yes.
Yes.
So it means dahil it covers that period, October, November, and December 2022, yung pondo ay spread out supposed para sa activities na itinala noong October, November, and December 2022. Tama ba?
Your Honor, please.
Counsel?
That is an assumption, Your Honor. That's a conclusion of fact. The witness did not testify that it should be spread throughout the quarter, Your Honor, and speculative also.
May I just, Your Honor, make a counter manifestation and a reply to the comment made?
Yes, counsel. What's your reply?
I'm not assuming anything. I am asking this witness to confirm. There's no assumption in that, Your Honor.
Counsel, but it has no basis. Counsel for respondent is correct. The witness did not say, neither was it contained in any letter of the Office of the Vice President that it is for the entire quarter. Reform, counsel. Get to what you want still. Kindly
With all due
reform.
respect, Your Honor, this witness has just admitted earlier that the funds was for the fourth quarter of 2022. He even mentioned that it is for October, November, for the period October, November, and December 2022.
Your Honor, I believe the court has already ruled on the matter, Your Honor.
Kindly reform, counsel. You can get to what you want just as easily, counsel.
Earlier, Mr. Ortonio, you mentioned na yung programs na nakalagay both in the and 2023 fiscal and financial plans, which are the good governance programs and the socio-economic programs, these are just umbrella programs. At sa ilalim nito, merong mga individual plans, programs, and activities ang OVP. Tama ba?
Yes.
And these plans, programs, and activities are spread out through the year. Tama ba?
If you base it on the PFP, there is an allocation.
Sorry, I'm not referring to the PFP, just generally. Etong socio-economic programs, program delivery, and good governance program, ito ay naka-spread out entire year.
Yes,
Tama
for
ba?
implementation,
For implementation.
throughout the year.
Okay, so merong programa na nakaschedule for October, meron din for November, meron din for December. Tama ba?
Yes, there are schedules for the rollout of the activities.
Okay, tama. At dahil yung PFP or Fiscal Financial Plans, ang sinasabi lamang ay Socio-Economic Development Program at Good Governance Program, effectively yung pondong nakatalaga doon sa relevant quarter na yon ay nakatalaga para sa relevant programs, plans, and activities for each quarter.
Your Honor, please. Can the council show what particular PFP she's referring to, Your Honor?
Your Honor, may we request our assisting counsel to furnish
You may do
the
so.
witness with both PFPs, Your Honor, for the 2022 and 2023 P. So just for clarity, let's just go to
The
the
2022.
PFP for 2022.
Yes.
Okay. May nakalagay dyan sa PAP's Good Governance Program. Tama ba?
Yes, that's correct.
Ang sinasabi mo kanina, yung Good Governance Program na yan, hindi yan isang partikular na programa lamang. Merong programs under that Good Governance Programs. Tama ba?
Yes, that's correct.
And for every month, for the remaining quarter of 2022, meaning October, November, and December, meron diyang mga nakatalang activities, plans, and programs falling under the Good Governance Programs. Tama ba?
Yes, under the good governance
Yes,
program.
under the Good Governance Programs. At nakalagay din dyan na yung halagang 125 million ay para sa quarter 4. Meaning, that is the period October, November, and December 2022. Tama ba?
This for the subject na confidential funds.
Yes, for the
Yes.
confidential funds. Yes. Tama rin bang sabihin na for, presumably, yung October, November, and December, merong mga activities for which the confidential funds would answer to?
Your Honor,
Or would
please.
answer for? Tama ba?
Your Honor, please.
Attorney Kara,
Your Honor, she's asking for an opinion. We note that the witness is not even the one who prepared this PFP, Your Honor. And counsel also stated, presumably, Your Honor. So that's asking for an opinion.
Wait, if I may just...
with the indulgence of counsels, so that we can get somewhere before we break for lunch, Mr. Ortonio, yung PAP po ninyo at yung request nyo sa confidential 2022, ang plano nyo sana para sa buong huling quarter ng 2022.
Your Honor, if you will base, number one po, because I did not participate in the preparation of the PFP. So in terms of the details of the implementation for the confidential funds, I may not be able to properly
Hindi pa po
answer.
natin pinag-uusapan ng implementasyon. Pinag-uusapan po natin nung nag-submit kayo ng plano para manghingi ng confidential fund at ikaw yung pumirma nun para sa last quarter. Kaya lang, as we all know, late na ba?
Yes, based on the PFPs, Your Honor, it's as indicated here, it's for October to December.
Yes, para sa last quarter nga ng 2022.
22.
Kailan na-release yung pera? Kailan mo withdraw? December 21?
The SARO was released December 30 and then the withdrawal was made December 20.
December 20.
Yes.
Tapos in-implement nyo hanggang December 31.
Based on the documents, Your Honor, the activities were implemented December 21.
31.
31, sorry, until December 31.
Now, I'll go a step further, Counsel. Ba't ba kailangan madaliin yan? Hindi ba ang budget good for two years? As you very well know, given your position in the Office of the Vice President. The budget, the GAA, is good for 2 years anyway. So why was there a need to implement it within the year?
Because, Your Honor, the request was made for the 2022.
At dahil nga yung plano nyo is for the last quarter of 2022.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your witness, Counsel?
Okay, just follow through, Your Honor,
Of
with the
course,
question made by the presiding officer. So just to clarify, dahil nakasaad dyan na yung confidential fund confidential funds of 125 million for 2022 is for the last quarter, meaning for October, November, and December. Nakalaan yan para sa activities under the Good Governance Program for October, November, and December. Tama ba?
Yes, based on the
Based on the
PFP.
document. Okay. Okay. At bilang supervising authority over the financial services ng OVP, alam din ninyo na ang notice of cash allocation na hindi nagamit pagsapit ng katapusan ng taon ay naglalapse. Tama ba?
Yes.
Ibig sabihin nito na hindi nagamit at hindi nagastos or anumang balanse ng cash advance sa katapusan ng taon ay dapat isauli sa Treasury. Tama ba?
That's correct.
Kung gayon, kung hindi na-report o nagastos yung 125 million pagsapit ng December 31, 2022, bahagi o buo nito ay babalik sana sa Treasury.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Noong hearing sa CGGPA noong November 25, 2024, inamin mo na ikaw ay pinagkakatiwalaan ng Vice Presidente sa mga sensitive and confidential information. Tama ba? Naalala mo?
I cannot specifically I said those words po in verbatim.
Okay. We are furnishing you a copy of the transcript of stenographic notes of the CGGPA hearing dated November 25, 2024, specifically page 208, which is also flashed on the screen. Sinabi mo, and I quote, sa mga sensitibong bagay, end of quote.
What's your question, Counsel?
Do you confirm that, Mr. Ortonio?
I think the context for this, ma'am, is because the previous question was...
Excuse me, Mr. Ortonio, I need to cut you because...
Witness is answering.
That's why I was
my
asking,
question
what
is
was
not
your
responsive.
question? Because I also did not get the question. Kindly repeat your question,
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel.
I was
Attorney May.
asking the witness whether or not he admitted during that hearing that the Vice President would trust to him or would share with him mga sensitibong bagay.
Yes, ma'am, but that is in the context of the previous question that my position is of trust and
Yes.
confidence.
Yes, correct.
And although I said po na on sensitive matters, of course, it is never absolute that all sensitive matters can be disclosed.
Okay, we understand that, Mr. Ortonio. Okay, between December 20 and December 31, meron ba kayong narinig na threat of cataclysmic proportion? Ibig sabihin, meron ba kayong narinig na banta na masyadong mapaminsala na kailangan supuin sa loob lamang ng 11 days? Noong December 20 to December 31, 2022.
Your Honor, please.
Counsel?
Question is vague, Your Honor, and no basis also.
How can that be vague, Your Honor?
I presume it's the Vice President. May alam po ba kayo na anong salita ulit yung ginamit mga attorney? May
Threat of
mapaminsala?
cataclysmic proportion or banta na masyadong mapaminsala.
Bantang mapaminsala. Kakaibang banta. Laban kay sa ikalawang Pangulo. Nung mga panahong yon na malapit sa petsang December 21 to 31. If you know.
Your Honor, I personally don't know of any information.
Okay. By the way, just again to backtrack a bit, Mr. Ortonio, when you requested confidential funds in 2022, kung alam ninyo, yung OVP po ba, meron ng mga natukoy na banta laban sa Vice President nung panahong yon?
Ma'am, I can answer. Maybe that's a question that can be answered by the security group.
But as far as you're concerned, are you aware of any identified threats against the Vice President
Your
or the
Honor.
office during that time?
If he knows, Counsel, Attorney Christine, if he knows, if he does not, he may answer accordingly.
I personally do not know of
Personally,
any.
do not know. And before you requested confidential funds from the DBM, would you know if the Office of the Vice President coordinated with any law enforcement agency against the Vice President or the office? Would you know?
In relation to possible threats to the Vice President, I would not have any information.
You would
or
not have any information. Ibig sabihin mo ba, itong mga threats na to, hindi to kasama sa mga supervise mo na internal affairs or mga programa ng or internal affairs ng Office of the Vice President. Dahil sinabi mo, ikaw ng dalawang opisina who in turn or that in turn oversees or monitors matters relating to the OVP.
Your Honor, please.
Attorney Christine?
Ask and answered and complex, Your Honor, and also argumentative.
It's a bit compound, Counsel. Reform a bit, Counsel. The question is long as well. The witness might not be able to respond adequately. Break it up a bit, Counsel.
So, Mr. Ortonio, you mentioned earlier that you coordination efforts with law enforcement agency at the time that you requested funds from the DBM. Tama ba?
Yes,
Your
ma'am.
Honor, please. The question is misleading. The witness said no information as to the supposed threats against the Vice President.
Witness has already answered, Counsel. Proceed, Attorney May.
Your Honor. So, nasabi mo wala kang alam na coordination efforts. Ang sinasabi mo pa, itong mga coordination efforts na to, hindi to sakop ng overseeing and supervising functions mo as Assistant Secretary and Assistant Chief of Staff of the OVP.
In relation to security matters, ma'am, no, that is not part of my duties as the Assistant Chief of Staff.
Okay, thank you. Now, pumunta na tayo sa sinabi mo kanina ay nakita mo. In connection with your preparation of the responses to the Audit Observation Memorandum, tama ba?
Yes.
You mentioned that. I am referring to
Good morning, I'm Cheska Litoncalao. Here are the latest stories at this hour. Day 18 of Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial is now underway, with the court declaring a quorum after 15 senators were present during the roll call. Attorney May Divina Gracia is recognized as counsel for the panel of prosecutors, while Attorney Christine Ferrer is recognized as counsel for the respondent. Prosecution moved to present Lemuel Ortonio as its second hostile witness. Presiding Officer Cheese Escudero cut short the prosecution's offer of Ortonio's testimony and declared him a hostile witness, given that his position is also coterminous with the Vice President, same as Gina Acostas. With Ortonio declared a hostile witness, the court allowed the prosecution to ask leading questions during its direct examination. Ortonio confirmed that he oversaw the release, use, and liquidation of funds of the OVP. He also added that the decision to request confidential funds for the OVP in 2022 was made by Vice President Sara Duterte. Ortonio also confirmed to the impeachment court that the OVP's request for confidential funds in August 2022 did not include any computation, projection, physical and financial plan, or supporting documents. He also said the plan was approved only in September 2022, nearly 20 days after the request. And now let's get updates on the ground with mobile journalist Merimon Reyes. Merimon, what have we gotten so far from the testimony of Lemuel Ortonio?
Cheska, according to the testimony of Lemuel Ortonio, doon sa naging letter ng Office of the Vice President na mayroong 4 na request sa DBM pagdating sa augmentation ito ng pondo at yung pagdadagdag ng contractual positions, yung request nila for confidential funds for the latter part of the year 2022. Ito rin yung kasagsagan na kapapasok lang din ni Ortonio bilang Assistant Chief of Staff. Walang nakakabit doon na physical or financial plan, projection, or supporting documents na mapapakita kung saan gagamitin supposedly yung nire-request na confidential funds. Ang nakalagay lang doon, they are parang may assurance sila na they will be formulating itong supposed programs, projects, and activities, pero walang nakalagay to be specific. Later on, nung nanghingi yung DBM, kasi kulang nga yung naging request nila, tsaka lang sila nakapag-formulate noong kakailanganin pang mga dokumento, and that's around, sabi ni Atty. Mga less than 25 days nang finormulate nila ito. And ang nabanggit din naman kanina, kasi napahapyawan din itong si Colonel Raymond Lachica ng VP-SPG, na kilala ito ni Ortonio, na Chief Commander nga raw siya ng security group ng OVP, pero noong September lang nagsimula ang on duty itong si Lachica sa VP-SPG. And ang sinabi rin naman kanina ni House Prosecutor Jinky Luistro, the prosecution may no longer need to present Colonel Lachica in connection dito sa allegations nga ng misuse of confidential funds. Ang sabi dito ni Lead Prosecutor Luistro, ang sasabihin daw kasi ni Lachica is, I wish to believe that it is a matter of defense. So let the defense lawyers do that, and we will be gladly doing our cross-examination to the security officer, sabi ni Luistro. And Luistro also said the allegations of misuse, misappropriation, and illegal liquidation of confidential funds, ito ay na-establish na sa pamamagitan ng testimony ni na COA state auditors and special nila state auditors na unang dumaan dito, si Celia Del Campo, Roderick Wamil, and kabilang na rin itong si Special Disbursing Officer, former SDO na OVP na si Gina Acosta. So yan yung isa sa mga abangan na lang natin kung magkakaroon pa ba ng pagbabago ng isip itong prosecution. And kanina kinonfirm din ni Ortonio naman na sinamahan niya nga si Acosta sa pag-encash nitong per quarter na tigo 125 million pesos in confidential funds. Di lang din daw alam kung alam ba ni VP Sara na kasama raw siya doon, pero all matters pertaining to the confidential funds, yung paggamit nito, alam daw ng vice. Cheska.
Thank you, mobile journalist Mary Monreyes. The House of Representatives continues its deliberations on the proposed 2027 national budget. For the latest developments, we now go to mobile journalist Amy Atienza. Amy, ano-ano mga ahensyang nakalinyang humarap sa deliberasyon ngayon?
Yes, Cheska, ngayong araw nga ay sinimulan na ng House Committee on Appropriations ang ikatlong araw ng pagdinig para nga sa 2027 national budget. At nauna na dito ang Department of National Defense kung saan nga naisiwalat din dito during the question and answer with the congressman na itong recruitment issue kung saan nga nagre-recruit daw ang China ng mga Pinoy workers para nga daw makakuha ng analysis, research, pati na rin write-ups, information technically hinggil nga dito sa ginagawang hinggil nga sa West Philippine Sea at kinumpirma din naman ni National Defense Secretary Gibo Teodoro na nalutas na ang problemang ito. Ang naging siste daw kasi dito, Cheska, ay meron daw kasing mga nag-i-email kung saan parang pinapaunlakan itong mga empleyado ng ahensya na magbigay nga ng impormasyon, technically magbigay din ng mga papeles at talagang naengganyo din naman daw yung mga empleyado dahil nga sa kakulangan ng operating security protocols na meron ang ahensya ngayon. Pero so far, wala naman daw din nakuhang sensitibong impormasyon at detalyadong impormasyon hinggil nga dito at siniguro nila na hindi na ulit ito mangyayari sa ahensya. Pero aside from that, of course, speaking of the budget, ay merong 324.6 billion pesos na proposed budget itong Department of National Defense para sa 2027. At para nga sa kanila, kahit mas mataas ito kumpara doon sa 306 billion pesos last year, ay medyo kulang pa rin dahil may gusto silang development sa mangyari, lalo na pagdating sa technology at sa modernization programs na meron ang National Defense. At maya-maya naman ay inaasahan na din natin no, na magsisimula din yung deliberations para sa Commission on Audit. Pero ngayon kasi simula lang din no, ng deliberations naman para sa Office of the Ombudsman. At tatalakayin nga din dito yung mga programa at kung may kinakailangan bang dagdag o pagbawas doon sa panukalang pondo para nga sa susunod na taon para sa mga nasabing opisina.
All right, thank you, mobile journalist Amy Atienza. Join us again at 1 p.m. for the very latest stories. I'm Ches Caliton-Calao. Kapatid, we are One News.